Chapter 8019 Dynasty's Immortal Lord. Since the appearance of that male vixen, the Holy Lord has become less and less like himself. Although Sect Master Lin was filled with emotion, he still did not suspect Yin Shuzi. At this point in the conversation, Yin Shuzi already understood why Sect Master Lin came to his house. It was not that they really did not dare to search the Immortal Sect, but that they could not enter the Immortal Sect's sphere of influence to search. Before her father and brother set out, they set up a ban within a radius of 10 miles of the Immortal Sect. Outsiders were not allowed to enter or leave at will, unless the founder of the Holy Sect and the Holy Lord came in person. It would be difficult to break the Immortal Sect's ban. The people of the Holy Sect also tried to negotiate with the Immortal Sect, but the head of the family was not there, so they were asked to come back after a while. Sect Master Lin was worried about the safety of those missing people, and was also worried that there would be more victims in the town. So he had to ask for help from the Holy Lord. Since this matter is related to the Immortal Sect, Yin Shuzi can't just ignore it. Yin Shuzi said to Lin Zongju, "Tell me the place. I will go there in person later. I will go with the Holy Lord." Lin Zongju said, "No need." Yin Shuzi was worried that if he spent too much time with Lin Zongju would find out some flaws in his habits. "Tell me the place. I will go there myself." Since that person dared to capture the disciples of the Holy Sect, it means that he is very brave, and his strength should not be underestimated. You stay in the Holy Sect, and don't let the thieves take advantage of it. Lin Zongju thought that this was the reason. The ancestor was in seclusion, and the Holy Lord went down the mountain, so he would be the top master here. If he left, once the thieves came up the mountain and caused some trouble, it would be more trouble than gain. The main thing was that he didn't know the other party's strength, so he couldn't take it lightly. Lin Zongju told Yin Xiaoxi about the town and the place where the incident happened, and sent someone to notify the disciples there. Yin Xiaoxi went back to the bedroom to change into clothes suitable for traveling, and snatched the little Saint Master from the hands of the daughters, who were full of Ant's heart, and took him with him. "Why take him with you?" Lord Demon appeared behind Yin Xiaoxi without knowing when. Yin Xiaoxi was startled, turned back and glared at him. "You walk without making any sound? I'm asking you a question." Lord Demon glanced at the little Saint Master in the backpack with disdain. Yin Xiaoxi closed the lid of the backpack and said to him, "Something happened in the Immortal Sect. I have to go out, but I don't have a token, so I can only take myself with me. She has a special physique and can enter and exit any restrictions freely. Of course, with the strength of the Saint Master, she can actually open the restrictions. But the problem is, she can't control the power of the Saint Master." Yin Xiaoxi put on the small backpack, smiled and said, "Aren't you looking for someone? I'm not here. Just look for him." The Lord Demon smiled faintly. "Are you sure you can get down the mountain like this?" "Why can't I get down the mountain?" Yin Xiaoxi said, and was about to blow the whistle to summon the Holy Luan. But as soon as he moved, he suddenly realized that he was no longer Yin Xiaoxi. And of course, he could no longer ride his previous mount. Yin Xiaoxi looked at the bottomless foot of the mountain and swallowed silently. If she walks down from here, she will have to break both of her legs, and she may not be able to reach the destination even if she breaks them. Or you can learn to fly a sword from him. The Demon Lord leaned lazily against the door frame, folded his arms, and looked at the Ling clan leader, who flew away on a sword. Yin Xiaoxi lowered her head agreeably. "She can't do it." The Demon Lord said, "Hold on." "What?" Yin Xiaoxi was stunned. Before she could react, she felt something suddenly appear under her feet, and then she flew out. This was different from the kissing, hugging, and lifting high that she loved to play when she was a child. This speed was so fast that it could catch up with the thunder. She felt like she was standing on a thunderbolt. If she wasn't careful, she would be overturned and fall down by the strong wind resistance blowing in her face. "Ah!" Yin Xiaoxi exclaimed, and instinctively hugged the Demon Lord's waist. At first, she didn't know that she was hugging the man's waist. She just hugged whatever she had. After hugging, she gradually felt something was wrong. This waist really didn't have a trace of fat, and it was full of strong strength. Yin Xiaoxi's eyes rolled around, and she pinched his waist quietly. The Demon Lord shuddered and said hoarsely, "Don't move." Yin Xiaoxi, "Oh." Pinched again. "Demon Lord." Master Lin flew back to the sect on his sword. Halfway through the flight, he felt a shadow flying over his head. He looked up in confusion and took a closer look. He was so scared that he almost fell off the flying sword. The man in white who hugged the male vixen's waist and buried his head in the male vixen's arms Wasn't he their holy lord? Is it necessary to be so clingy? Take the male vixen with you when you investigate a case? And ride on the same flying sword with him? And hug his waist? Master Lin felt that he couldn't bear to watch it anymore. He would be jealous if he continued to watch. He and his wife have been married for so many years, and they have never been so clingy. If this continues, it won't be long before the whole Holy Land knows that the Holy Lord has found a male Taoist partner. Sect Master Lin covered his eyes with a headache. With a loud bang, he crashed into a tree. Sect Master Lin. Big tree. The Demon Lord flew to the nearest open space to Sungha town on his sword. The two of them walked the rest of the way. It wasn't because he cared about the reputation of the Holy Lord, but because they wanted to listen to the town's movements along the way. The first case of missing people happened a month ago. As of last night, including the disciples of the Holy Sect, 17 people have disappeared. These people are all young men, strong and healthy, with good appearance. Among the missing people in the town, there are cultivators and ordinary people. Most of the cultivators are not at a high level, and the most powerful ones are only in the late stage of Qi training. Even if Yin Shusi has no skills, he can capture several of them with magic tools. Why didn't he capture those above the Qi training stage? Can't he beat them? Yin Shusi asked. He even arrested ordinary people. Maybe the standard he used to arrest people has little to do with their realm. Those who were arrested just happened to be below the Qi training stage, said the Demon Lord. Really? Yin Shusi murmured. The Demon Lord's guess was soon confirmed. When they met with the disciples of the Holy Sect who came to pick them up at the agreed place, they were told that someone else in the town had disappeared. It was a master of the Taishu realm. There were 3 disciples who picked them up, and the leader was Brother Jing, who sent Yin Xiaosi and the others to Shanfeng Mountain yesterday. Brother Jing looked at the strange man who appeared beside the Holy Lord with some surprise. Obviously, they didn't know that the Holy Lord had a Taoist partner, and Master Lin didn't know that the Demon Lord would follow, so he didn't tell them anything in advance. The Holy Lord has always been a loner, and he has never seen any friends around him. Brother Jing was very confused in his heart. It can be seen that the Holy Lord has no intention of explaining, so he tactfully suppressed this doubt. Who do you suspect did it? Yin Shusi asked. We suspect it was the Demon Clan, Brother Jing said. The Demon Lord's eyes moved. Yin Shusi touched his chin. Are there any evidence? Senior Brother Jing said seriously. Last night, the junior brothers fought with that man. It was because of chasing him that several junior brothers disappeared. According to the junior brothers who stayed behind, that man has a very strong demonic energy and should be a demon cultivator. What about his realm? Yin Shusi asked. Senior Brother Jing shook his head. I don't know. Maybe his realm is too high and we can't see through it. It may also be that he has a magical weapon that hides his realm. Where did the disciples chase him and then disappear? There. Senior Brother Jing shook his hand and pointed to a mountain range in front. We suspect that the missing cultivators and civilians were also captured there. Xianshao Mountain? Xianshao Mountain is the mountain named by his mother. It is a natural barrier in the south of the Xianzong. There is no problem at ordinary times. Only when his father and brothers go out will they set up restrictions to prevent outsiders from entering. But her father and mother had left the Immortal Sect a month ago, which means that this place has always been restricted. So, how did they get in? The disciples behind also tried to chase them, but they were blocked outside by the restrictions. Senior Brother Jing said. So, can only go through the restriction with the murderer? Thinking of something, Yin Shusi suddenly said, do you still suspect that the people of the Xianzong are also involved? Brother Jing didn't know that the person standing opposite him was the daughter of the Xianzong, and said in detail, except for the Xianzong, I can't think of anyone else who has the key to open the restriction. The Demon Lord, who had been silent all the time, spoke casually. How could the Xianzong collude with the Demon Clan? I'm afraid this Taoist friend doesn't know that the Xianzong. Brother Jing hesitated for a moment, and seeing that his own Saint Lord did not stop his plan, he continued, the Xianzong is actually related to the Demon Clan. The new Demon Lord of the Demon Clan had a close relationship with the Xianzong. He was the adopted son picked up by the Xianzong's wife from outside. Not many people know this secret, so please don't tell others. Does my mother have an adopted son? Why don't I know? No one has ever mentioned it to her. And, Senior Brother Jing continued, the case happened after the leader and his wife of the Immortal Sect went out, and after the 3 young masters went into seclusion to practice. The timing is quite coincidental. You mean my Dad and my brothers did it? Yin Shusi stopped in time, coughed lightly, and said seriously, "Is it appropriate for us to suspect such an upright sect just because of such a small coincidence?" Upright? Senior brother Jing was dumbfounded. Holy Lord. Do you have any misunderstandings about uprightness? The entire Holy Land was swindled by the 9 Dynasties' immortal Lord. Have you forgotten how he made his fortune? Chapter 802. Although Yin Shusi wanted to brag about her father, she had to be low-key. She was a good low-key girl. Yin Shusi also learned some of the information from senior brother Jing. Although many young cultivators were missing, they were all independent cultivators, so they did not attract the attention of other sects. From this point of view, the murderer was very cunning. He deliberately did not choose the disciples of the sect to attack. I am afraid that he did not want to provoke the revenge of the sect. It was just that the holy sect intervened in the investigation, and in order to protect himself during the fight, he had to kill the disciples of the holy sect. I don't know if my junior brothers will be in danger, senior brother Jing said self-reproachfully. If he had known that he would meet the murderer, he would never have stayed in the holy sect to wait for news yesterday. Yin Shusi patted him on the shoulder and said, "Didn't you say that a master of Taishi realm just disappeared this morning? The murderer can catch people of Taishi realm. You are so low in realm. It will be useless even if you are here." Senior brother Jing was choked. This didn't comfort me. Yin Shusi decided to go to Xianshao Mountain to have a look. Senior brother Jing asked to follow him, but was rejected by Yin Shusi. What a joke. She didn't have the ability of the Holy Lord. What if senior brother Jing found out that she was not the real Holy Lord after entering? As for danger, didn't we still have Xiao Xiao? Xiao Xiao could beat the Holy Lord. So why fear a mere murderer? However, when Yin Shusi turned around to look for Xiao Xiao, he could not see Xiao Xiao's shadow. Where is she? Where did she go? She muttered. At the corner of the street, the Lord Demon stood in an empty courtyard. The demon cultivator bowed his hands respectfully and stood in front of him. It was not done by me. Please judge. Besides you, who else has left the demon clan this time? The Lord Demon asked calmly. The demon cultivator thought for a while and said, "There are still a few subordinates, but their whereabouts are under my control. And I can also conclude that it was not them who did it." Although the demon cultivator wanted to do so, the demon lord had told them before they set out that the mission of this trip was to bring that person back to the demon clan and not to cause any trouble. The Lord Demon didn't care about the life and death of these so-called righteous cultivators and the people. But if this matter was related to the immortal sect, the Lord Demon would not stand idly by. Keep a close eye on your people. Don't let them cause trouble for me. Yes. The Lord Demon threw a bottle of pills to the demon cultivator and turned away. These pills are used to hide the evil spirits in their bodies and help them avoid the erosion of spiritual energy. The demon lord does not need them because he is a combination of the holy demon and the Holy Spirit. He can absorb both evil spirits and spiritual energy. The demon lord returned to the inn where the disciples of the holy sect were. Yin Shusi walked over with his eyes wide open. "Where did you go just now?" "I'm looking for you." "Let's go," the demon lord said calmly. Well, Yin Shusi carried a small backpack and left the inn with the demon lord. 2 jade-like men, one in white clothes, spotless, and the other in black clothes, murderous, a pair of unparalleled young masters. Why do I suddenly feel that they are a good match? A Saint Sect disciple murmured as he looked at the backs of the two. Senior brother Jing nodded, and soon he realized that something was wrong. He turned his head in anger and glared at his junior brother. "How can you talk like that? That's a man." "Oh!" The reprimanded Saint Sect disciple scratched his head. "But senior brother Jing, who is that man? How could he appear next to the Saint Lord? Does the Saint Lord have any friends?" Senior brother Jing shook his head. "Let's not ask about the Saint Lord's affairs." The three of them followed the route described by senior brother Jing to the place where several Saint Sect disciples disappeared. There were still many traces of fighting on the grass, and the Lord Demon did feel the breath of the demon clan skills nearby. So, is the murderer indeed a demon cultivator? The Lord Demon narrowed his eyes. Ahead was the restriction set by the immortal sect. Because of Yin Shusi there, they walked in very smoothly. Look! The way back is gone. Yin Shusi pulled the sleeve of the demon lord, signaling him to look back at the way they came. The empty grassland was gone, replaced by a winding gravel road, and the end of the gravel road was filled with lingering smoke. The ban is just an invisible barrier, and will not change the landscape inside and outside. So, Theoretically, they should not see such a scene. Yin Shiuzi continued, we can't see the way back. Conversely, people outside can't see the scenery inside. Is this the reason why they disappeared? The Lord of Demons asked. Did your family's restrictions have this effect before? No. Yin Shiuzi shook her head. Didn't she know about their family's restrictions? She didn't know how many times she had sneaked out in these years. To put it bluntly, the restriction is a door. How could it be possible to open the door, and the things inside and outside become different? Speaking of difference, Yin Shiuzi suddenly felt that this was indeed different from the Xianshao Mountain she had been to before. I have been to Xianshao Mountain, and Xianshao Mountain is not like this. Yin Shiuzi squatted down and pointed to a gorgeous red flower on the side of the road, saying, there is no such flower in Xianshao Mountain. While speaking, she raised her hand to pick the flower. But a glittering poisonous snake suddenly jumped out from under the flower and flew towards Yin Shiuzi's heart. However, before it could get close, it was crushed into pieces by a terrifying demonic energy. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. When Yin Shiuzi came to her senses, the venomous snake was gone. She opened her mouth. There is a venomous snake under such a beautiful flower. The Demon Lord said, has no one told you that the more beautiful things are, the more dangerous they are? Yin Shiuzi stood up and looked at the Demon Lord straight. The Demon Lord thought she would say, then are you also dangerous? Unexpectedly, she suddenly curled her lips and asked aggrievedly, then do you think I am also dangerous? The Demon Lord. The Demon Lord took a deep breath and said to her, we may not be in the immortal sect anymore. Be careful, and don't touch anything here. Oh! Yin Shiuzi nodded obediently. Did we accidentally walk into a secret realm? The Lord Demon looked around and said, the entrance to the secret realm is unlikely to be opened in the restriction of the immortal sect. The restriction of your immortal sect is not that weak. I can only think of one possibility that can be seamlessly integrated with the restriction of the immortal sect. What possibility? Yin Shiuzi asked with his eyes wide open. The underworld, the Lord Demon said. The underworld is the only space among the 6 realms that can overlap with any realm. This is like the underworld and the world of the living mentioned by mortals. The same road may be both the world of the living and the underworld. But people in the world of the living cannot go to the underworld. And people in the underworld will not easily come to the world of the living. Even if they bump into each other, or even pass through each other, they will not feel each other, let alone cause any harm or influence to each other. But there are exceptions to everything. To get out of the underworld, people only need to get a token from the underworld, and they will be like normal people in a short time. Some people are born with a strong yin energy, and the boundary between them and the underworld is blurred. In folk terms, they are prone to encounter ghosts. Such people may accidentally step into the underworld, but as long as they do not do evil in the underworld, they will generally be sent back safely by the underworld messenger. And then the underworld messenger will erase their memory of wandering in the underworld. Yin Shiuzi seemed to have an epiphany. You mean, the murderer is from the underworld? Those young men and the disciples of the holy sect were all captured by the murderer and taken to the underworld. The Lord Demon said, there is a demonic aura where the fight took place. The disciples of the holy sect also said that the other party is a demon cultivator. It is possible that the murderer has a token to enter and exit the underworld. The token can not only be used by himself, but also allows him to bring people from outside into the underworld. Yin Shiuzi scratched his head. Why did he bring them into the underworld? The underworld is best hidden. It is a place that no one can find. The Lord Demon paused and glanced at the small backpack on Yin Shiuzi's back. Except you. He always knew that Yin Shiuzi had a special physique, but he didn't expect it to be so special that he could even enter and exit the underworld freely. Originally, he could also tear the restrictions of the immortal sect, but he could conclude that after tearing the restrictions, he would enter the real Xianshao Mountain, not the underworld that overlapped with the space of Xianshao Mountain. Chapter 803. The sky was dark, as if it was about to fall at night. At first, Yin Shiuzi thought it was because of the weather, but he was relieved when he learned that it was the underworld. I heard that there is no daytime in the underworld. Is it true? Yin Shiuzi asked the Demon Lord. The Demon Lord shook his head. I don't know. I haven't been here. The road they came from was filled with new fog. There were foggy forests on both sides of them, and the path in the middle was winding and seemed to lead to a canyon. The two walked for a while, and suddenly, the Demon Lord took off Yin Shiuzi's small backpack and put it on his back. Yin Shiuzi walked forward humming a little tune. The demon lord looked at her heartless appearance and couldn't help asking, "Aren't you afraid?" Yin Shiusi turned his head and looked at him strangely. "Don't you have you? Why should I be afraid?" The demon lord was slightly stunned. Yin Shiusi laughed and said, "You can even beat the Holy Lord. There shouldn't be many people in the underworld who can be your opponent. Right?" The Lord of Demons suddenly stopped and looked at her evilly and dangerously. "Are you so sure that I won't leave you here alone? Or am I colluding with the murderer just to kill you and the Holy Lord in the underworld?" Yin Shiusi blinked. "Will you?" The Lord of Demons gave her a look and told her to experience it herself. If they wanted to kill you too, they should have done it in the valley. There was no need to lead you to the underworld in front of so many people. They came in together. But he was the only one left when they left. Did he kill them all or not? Yin Shiusi knew he was trying to scare him. So he didn't really take it to heart. The two of them walked for about half an hour. Suddenly, Yin Shiusi thought of something and asked, "Why did you say those people were captured? Are they all alive?" The Lord of Demons said, "It's not clear why they were captured. But it's unlikely that all of them are alive." "Why?" Yin Shiusi asked. The demon lord looked at the canyon ahead. They were already very close to it. This is the underworld. The yin energy is too heavy. Staying here for a long time will reduce your cultivation and lifespan. Ordinary people may die in less than 12 hours. As for cultivators, they can live longer. But that is also when the murderer does not harm them. If the murderer has other intentions, they are afraid that they will be in danger. Oh! Yin Shiusi learned from it. Seeing that she did not seem to be worried about him at all, the demon lord sighed and said, "We only have 12 hours. When the time is up, no matter whether we can save people or find out the truth, I will take you away from here." Yin Shiusi pointed at him and himself. "We too should be fine. Right? Of course. The bodies of the Holy Lord and the Demon Lord will be fine. But the vitality in Yin Shiusi's body is suppressed. After all, staying in the underworld for a long time is not a good thing." The Demon Lord said calmly, "I only have 12 hours to accompany you to play." Yin Shiusi curled his lips. I know. As they spoke, the two had already arrived at the canyon. The two sides of the canyon were towering mountains, with cliffs thousands of feet high. It was deserted, and the atmosphere was gloomy. Yin Shiusi touched his arm. "Xiao Zhao. Do you feel it's cold here?" With the physique of the Saint Lord, he would not feel cold even if he went deep into the 10,000 years cold pond. So there is only one explanation. This is not cold air, but yin qi. The Lord Demon glanced around, curled his lips coldly, and blocked Yin Shiusi behind him. "Someone is coming." As soon as the voice fell, two men in official uniforms fell from the sky. The square-faced Hades asked fiercely, "Who is trespassing into the underworld? Why don't you tell me your name?" Yin Shiusi poked his little head out from behind the Lord Demon and asked softly, "Who are they?" "Hades," Lord Demon said. There was no surprise or fear in his tone. The two Hades were stunned for a moment when they saw his reaction. Since this man could recognize them, it meant that they had not strayed into the underworld by mistake. This was intolerable. Those who trespassed into the underworld would die. The two exchanged glances and suddenly flew towards the Demon Lord. The Demon Lord had no intention of fighting with them, but he suddenly felt a trace of demonic energy from one of the Hades. His eyes turned cold, and he stopped trying to dodge. He flicked his sleeves and pinched the neck of the Hades, while the other Hades was shocked by the demonic energy around him and flew out on the spot. The Demon Lord moved slightly, and a jade flute fell from the Hades whose neck he had pinched. This was a Demon Clan magic weapon, and its grade was not low, almost comparable to a spiritual weapon. If it was used to deal with a master of the Taishi realm, it would be a sure win, but it would also be a great chance of winning. The Lord of Demons took the magic weapon in his hand, and then he used his magic to shock the man away. But he didn't let him fall to the ground like his companions. Instead, he used his magic to pinch his neck and held him tightly in the air. "Tell me, who gave you this jade flute? What is your relationship with those missing people?" "What missing people?" I don't know." The ghost was pinched so hard that he could hardly make a sound. The man in front of him gave him an extremely dangerous feeling. He felt that he might be wiped out in the hands of the other party at any time. Everyone cherishes his life, even if he is a person in the underworld. If he accumulates some merits, he will have a chance to enter reincarnation again. Yin Shiusi asked the Lord Demon, "Do you suspect that he is colluding with that demon cultivator? Is this jade flute a magic weapon of the demon cultivator?" Yes, the Lord Demon responded, looking at the Hades. I will ask you one last time. Where did the jade flute come from? The jade flute was picked up. We just picked it up. We are investigating who left a magic weapon of the demon clan in the underworld. We are looking for the person who trespassed in the underworld. When the underworld said this, his eyes were fixed on the Lord Demon. He felt the majestic demonic energy emanating from the other party. But since the other party asked him so, it must not be him who dropped the jade flute. Excuse me, sir, the underworld asked bravely. You are not qualified to know who I am. After the Lord Demon said this, he pointed his fingertips, and a black light shot into the underworld's eyebrows, and the underworld fainted on the spot. The demon lord threw him down. What happened to him? Yanshusi asked. The demon lord took out a clean white handkerchief, wiped the hand that had touched the neck of the Hades, and said with thin lips, nothing. Just fainted. He walked to another Hades, who had already fainted, and shot a black light into his forehead. It has always been the Hades who cleared other people's memories. And this is the first time that someone's memory has been cleared. They will not remember what happened, including the existence of this jade flute. Xiao Zhao. What are you thinking about? Yanshusi found that the demon lord looked thoughtful. The demon lord gently grasped the handkerchief he had used to wipe his hands, and it shattered into smoke. I thought of a question. We just entered the underworld and ran into the underworld messenger. This should not be a coincidence. Maybe every time someone breaks in, the underworld will notice it, and will order the nearest underworld messenger to go and find out. Then, why has that demon cultivator come to the underworld so many times and not been discovered yet? Take him as an example. He met the underworld messenger today and was able to clear their memory once. But the second and third time, the underworld messengers lost more memories and would always reveal flaws. Unless he has a helper who has been helping him hide his tracks. Do you suspect he has a helper? Yanshusi is not stupid. He can guess that the demon cultivator alone is not enough to accomplish the task. Not everyone has Yanshusi's strange physique. He must first have a token to enter and exit the underworld freely. But where does the token come from? Moreover, even if he can steal it, it is difficult to deceive all the underworld messengers by himself. If he really has helpers, I'm afraid they are not just minions in the underworld. Otherwise, they can't deceive the underworld. Yanshusi sighed. Where can we find them? We'll find them soon. The demon lord looked at the jade flute in his hand, tapped his eyebrows with his fingertips, and introduced a stream of magic energy into the jade flute. The jade flute seemed to come alive and flew towards the sky. Follow it, said the demon lord. I can't fly. Yanshusi scratched his head. The demon lord held her waist, soared into the air, and stood on the jade flute. The jade flute took them through the canyon, flying in the clouds and mist, and flew to a quiet courtyard in one breath. This courtyard was different from the scenery they had seen along the way. It was not only inlaid with night pearls and exuded a gentle light, but also planted colorful flowers in the yard. In the breeze, there was a faint fragrance. Yanshusi sniffed. What a nice scent. Do you smell it? I didn't smell anything along the way. Only the scent of flowers here. The Lord Demon stared coldly at the closed door in the courtyard. There is no sense of smell in the underworld. What you smell is not the fragrance of flowers, but the illusion of the ghost mother. Suddenly, a woman's sinister laughter came from behind the door. Ha ha ha. It's rare that someone recognizes my identity and sees through my illusion when they come to me for the first time. Well, the ghost mother, will come to meet you in person today. Chapter 804. Yanshusi thought that the voice was a very fierce and ferocious woman, but it was not the case. After the door opened, a purple-dressed woman who looked like a fairy came out. Although the woman's appearance was not as good as Yanshusi's, she had a completely different flavor. She was elegant in her maturity and graceful in her beauty. Her face was like a girl, and it was hard to tell how old she was. But her smile did not reach her eyes, and a very dangerous aura flowed around her. As expected, this dangerous aura was isolated by the Lord Demon, and Yanshusi behind him did not bear it at all. Therefore, Yanshusi continued to stick his head out and looked at her without blinking. What a beautiful aunt. It was nothing for a 14-year-old girl to say this. After all, although the ghost mother had a girl's face, her actual age was very old. But if this was said from a 7-foot man, the effect would be a bit scary. The ghost mother felt her body tremble. She was about to use a killing move, But the coquettish Auntie-O made her emotions incoherent. Don't think that I can't see you just because you hide behind me. Don't you know how big you are? You grab the man's clothes like a little girl, sticking out your round little, no, big head. Do you think you are a little girl? Are men nowadays so unmasculine? The ghost mother came out with murderous intent. But Yin Shusi forgot about the killing move halfway through. She landed at the gate of the courtyard, less than 10 steps away from the two. The demon lord could feel that the ghost mother's realm was extremely high, even to the point where she might ascend to heaven, as the legend said. Can you beat her? I feel she is not very friendly, Yin Shusi said behind the demon lord in what he thought was a very low voice. Ordinary people can't hear this sound, but the ghost mother is a master, and she didn't miss a word. The ghost mother laughed. You are really interesting. I see your realm is not low. Are you so timid? I'm not timid. I'm cautious. What if you catch me to threaten him? Humph. Yin Shusi won't be fooled. The ghost mother folded her arms and narrowed her eyes slightly, as if she was a little surprised why the other party said such incredible words. Both of them are masters at the peak of the Mahayana realm. Why did she only catch him? Does he think he is easier to deal with? In fact, as early as the moment the two approached her yard, she realized that the man in black clothes was a combination of the saint and the devil. This kind of person can not only move freely in the demon clan, but also be like a fish in water in the Holy Land. Unlike the righteous cultivators who go to the demon clan, their strength will be limited. The realm of the demon cultivator cannot be fully exerted when he comes to the Holy Land. However, this is the underworld. Even if the saint and the devil come together, it will be useless. The three of them are actually in the same realm. But the underworld is her home. Her strength can be increased 10-fold or 100-fold here, but they will be weakened many times. Whose is this? The Lord Demon showed the jade flute floating in his palm. The ghost mother narrowed her eyes slightly, and then said calmly, Isn't this a magic weapon of your demon clan? I'm not a demon clan member. How do I know? You demon clan? Yin Shusi blinked. Did the ghost mother think they were from the demon clan? What she didn't know was that the ghost mother didn't think they were from the demon clan, but recognized the demon clan identity of the demon lord. Really? The demon lord casually hooked his lips, and suddenly clenched his palm. The energy on the jade flute exploded, and a shrill flute sound was emitted. At the same time, a suppressed groan came from the ghost mother's yard. There is a sound, Yin Shusi said with his eyes wide open. The demon lord sneered and looked at the ghost mother's yard. Ghost mother, you are a well-known figure in the underworld. You dare to collude with the demon cultivators. You are really brave. The ghost mother saw that the incident was exposed, and she didn't care about many things immediately. She waved her sleeves and released countless demons. While the demons blocked the two of them, she flew into the air, put the whole yard into her huge sleeves, and then disappeared in the endless fog. The demon lord took out a golden flute and used the flute as a sword. The flute seemed to have some terrible power. All the demons who touched it were all wiped out in an instant. After dealing with the last demon, the demon lord gave the flute to Yin Shusi. Take it for self-defense. Oh! Yin Shusi grabbed the golden flute. What a beautiful flute. The demon lord, shouldn't you say it's a great flute? No matter what you look at, you always pay attention to whether it is beautiful or not. Yeah. Yin Shusi nodded seriously. Very impressive too. By the way, what were those black shadows just now? They look so ugly. Master Demon, shouldn't it be so scary? So difficult. So strange. Isn't it that this girl only sees good-looking and bad-looking? Nothing else? Master Demon patiently explained. Those are the children of the ghost mother, commonly known as ghosts. Rumor has it that the ghost mother will give birth to 10 children every morning and eat them all at night. Ah! Yin Shusi hugged the flute in his arms with a frightened face. Master Demon saw that she was so scared, and thought that he shouldn't tell her such a cruel story. The next second, he heard Yin Shusi say, How can she eat if she is so ugly? Master Demon, Yin Shusi muttered while holding the flute, but then again, she is so beautiful. Why are her children so ugly? Is their father ugly? Master Demon didn't know how to respond at all. In fact, those ghosts were not the children of the ghost mother, but the evil ghosts sent by the underworld to be transformed by the ghost mother. They regarded the ghost mother as their mother, and their life and death were all controlled by the ghost mother. Every transformation of an evil ghost has corresponding merits. So under normal circumstances, The ghost mother cherishes these ghosts very much. But when she pushed them out to die just now, she didn't even blink. It can be seen that the demon cultivator has a heavy weight in her mind. After listening to his explanation, Yin Shiusi understood the general situation. But she still felt that there were doubts in the incident. But isn't she very powerful? Why did she run away? And took the house away? The Lord of Demons said, because there is the evidence we need in the house. Yin Shiusi looked at him and said, you mean, the murderer and the missing people? The Lord of Demons nodded, well, if we find them, and hand them over to the officials of the underworld, the whole incident will be exposed. Although the ghost mother is powerful, she still can't compete with the entire underworld. Yin Shiusi, oh. Bang! 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 The sound of punches and kicks came from the basket behind the Lord of Demons. Huh? What's wrong with the Holy Lord? Yin Shiusi walked over curiously, and was about to open the lid to see the situation of the Holy Lord, but was grabbed by the wrist by the Lord of Demons. Someone is coming, said the Lord of Demons. Yin Shiusi looked back, and saw a black shadow rapidly approaching in the mist not far away. Who is here to kill the devils? Accompanied by a roar, several winding black thunders rushed towards them. The demon lord held Yin Shiusi's waist, and leaped up the hillside. The winding thunder fell on the place where they were standing just now, splitting the ground into a crack 10 people wide and 100 feet deep. This underworld messenger is so powerful, Yin Shiusi exclaimed. The demon lord frowned and said, this is not an underworld messenger, but a judge. The judge is an important official of the underworld. He can resonate with the underworld energy of the underworld. He has almost reached the state of unity between heaven and man. This is an opponent that even the demon lord is unwilling to face easily. Let's go! The demon lord took Yin Shiusi and flew in the direction where the ghost mother disappeared. Before leaving, he did not forget to leave the jade flute. The ghost mother fled all the way to an island in the Wanchuan River. And then she took out the house from her sleeve, enlarged it, and landed on the island. It turned out that her house was also a magic weapon. Creak! The door opened. A man in a black robe walked out hurriedly, holding the ghost mother's hand and said, are we exposed? The ghost mother calmed down and shook her head and said, don't worry. I have led the judge over. The judge will not let them go when he sees them killing the devils. When the judge kills them, we will be safe. What if the judge can't kill them? The demon cultivator asked. How can you not kill them? The ghost mother looked at him steadily. Do you recognize who they are? The demon cultivator did not speak. And after a while, he said, my magic weapon is in their hands. What if they hand it over to the judge? The ghost mother secretly pinched herself. She was so flustered at that time that she forgot to take the magic weapon back. I'll find a way to deal with the magic weapon. The ghost mother paced and gritted her teeth and said, the people you brought back this time are all of good aptitude. Hurry up and absorb their yang energy. The demon cultivator suddenly said, there is a child in their backpack. Child? The ghost mother was stunned. At the beginning, most of her attention was attracted by the sissy handsome man. But she really didn't notice the backpack of the black-clothed man. The demon cultivator clenched his fist and said, the child has a lot of yang energy. If I absorb her, I won't have to absorb others in the future. Chapter 805. The ghost mother went to find the judge to see if she could get the child and the magic weapon before the judge killed the two men, while the demon cultivator turned and went into the house. The house didn't look big from the outside, but after entering, there were many more gloomy and cold rooms, each of which contained a living person or a corpse that had not been disposed of in time. The demon cultivator came to the last room and paused for a while. Damn it! Don't try to plot against me. I'm not someone you can plot against. A roar of powerful spiritual power came from the room, and it was the old man in the Taishi realm. The demon cultivator took a lot of effort to catch him back, even at the cost of being injured. His injury was not serious, but it would be very troublesome to raise him. The old man in the Taishi realm was a hard bone, and it was a bit difficult to chew now. The demon cultivator decided to wait until he was weak in the underworld for a few days before taking action. The demon cultivator was not afraid that he would die just like that. After all, his realm was there, and the old man could linger for a long time. But the disciples of the holy sect were not very accustomed to the dark energy of the underworld, and they were about to die. Before they died, he had to absorb their yang energy. The demon cultivator turned around and came to the second to last room, where the 3 disciples of the holy sect were all locked up. Click! The door was opened, and a faint light came in. shining on the 3 disciples of the holy sect in green clothes. All 3 fainted because they were too weak. The demon cultivator came in front of the 3 people, squatted down, and pinched the neck of a disciple of the holy sect with one hand, and was about to absorb their yang energy into his body. However, at this moment, a golden flute flashed in and hit the demon cultivator's back. The demon cultivator was knocked to the ground by a huge force, and a stream of black smoke like burning came out of his back. He gritted his teeth, turned around abruptly, and glared at the uninvited guest at the door. Oh! Yin Shusi covered his eyes. Why is he so ugly? The green face and fangs should be the man in front of him. Before coming in, Yin Shusi had imagined the appearance of the murderer countless times. Since the devils were all ugly, although they were not born by the ghost mother. This made Yin Shusi seriously doubt the aesthetics of the ghost mother. So he did not have any fantasy about the appearance of the murderer who was protected by the ghost mother. But she still underestimated the aesthetics of the ghost mother. Yin Shusi hid behind the Lord of Demons, grabbed his sleeves, poked out his little head, and used only one eye to look at the demon cultivator on the ground. The flute seemed to have hurt him badly. He lay on the ground gasping for breath, and cold sweat broke out. So his appearance seemed even more hideous. Yin Shusi looked at his 2 big fangs and couldn't help but touch his own teeth. How can a person's teeth grow so big? Because he is not a human. The demon lord looked down at the seriously injured demon cultivator and said, to be precise, he is not a living person. The secret was discovered, and a trace of extreme fear flashed across the eyes of the demon cultivator. However, this fear seemed to come not only from the exposure of the secret. He looked at the demon lord and began to tremble uncontrollably. Xiao Zhao. He seems to be very afraid of you, Yin Shusi said. Yeah. He is the demon lord, and he has absolute racial pressure on all demon cultivators. Of course, demon cultivators will be afraid. I'm afraid that the demon cultivators recognized him as early as the first time they fought with the ghost mother. You are very brave. The demon lord came to the demon cultivator step by step, like a demon god in charge of life and death. The demon cultivator shrank his body and lowered his head to hide the strangeness that flashed in his eyes. He slowly touched his sleeve. There was a loud click, and it was the demon lord's noble footsteps that stepped on his hand bones, breaking his wrist immediately. The shoes of the demon lord rolled over his broken hand bones. You even dare to set your sights on her. I think you are really tired of living. The flute was enlightened by Buddha's light. Although it was powerful and could make the ghosts who touched it scatter, the demon cultivator was not a ghost yet. The flute had limited effect on him. The reason why he pretended to be so weak was just to lower his vigilance, so that he could take the child in his backpack. Although the demon lord did not care about the life and death of the Saint King, the little body belonged to Yin Shusi. The demon cultivator was in so much pain that his eyes were about to burst. But he could not make a single scream. Yin Shusi thought that he had hurt so many innocent lives, so he no longer had any sympathy for him. Yin Shusi walked over and asked, Xiao Zhao, what do you mean by saying he is not a living person? The Lord Demon said, he is dead, and he relies on absorbing yang qi to maintain his current appearance. Ah? This is a corpse. Yin Shusi was not afraid of corpses. In fact, she was not afraid of anything except ugliness. Then is he still a demon cultivator? The Lord Demon said. He used to be a demon cultivator, but now he is a dead demon cultivator. Yin Shusi said. I understand. He is dead, but he is unwilling to reincarnate. So he absorbs the yang qi of the young man to extend his life in disguise? The Lord Demon's voice lowered a point. Demon cultivators do not reincarnate. Huh? Yin Shusi looked at him puzzled. He murmured, once you fall into the devil's way, you will never have the chance to reincarnate. After death, your soul will be scattered and completely disappear in the 6 realms. Yin Shusi scratched his head. So, aren't the people of the demon clan very miserable? Then why do some people still become demons? The Lord of Demons pondered and said, because they are strong. Among masters of the same realm, demon cultivators are stronger than righteous cultivators. Some people are out of their inner demons. And he paused and didn't say anything else. In short, there are many reasons. Oh! Yin Shusi nodded with sudden enlightenment. The Lord of Demons looked at the dying demon cultivator. He was about to die, but he was still struggling in vain. From the moment you became a demon, you should have understood your fate. You have practiced for so many years. But you are not mentally prepared to be reduced to ashes? The demon cultivator crawled on the ground in pain. Yin Shuzi could feel the pain he exuded, as if he was shrouded by a huge sadness. Don't you really want to die? The Lord Demon's hand clasped the head of the demon cultivator lightly. Yin Shuzi understood that Xiao Zhao was going to kill him. It stands to reason that the murderer should be taken back to the holy sect for disposal. But Xiao Zhao killed him here, and she didn't feel it was wrong at all. As if he had a more absolute and more orthodox right to deal with the demon cultivator. The demon cultivator did not resist. But Yin Shuzi clearly saw tears in his eyes. At this moment, an iron chain shot in, wrapped around Yin Shuzi's waist, and dragged her out of the house. The ghost mother stood at the gloomy door, pinched Yin Shuzi's throat with one hand, and said coldly, "Let Huanlang go, or I will kill your friend." The Lord Demon narrowed his eyes and looked at her, and his figure suddenly flashed. Before the ghost mother could even blink, she felt the other person approach her like a ghost. Then the person who was being strangled by the throat disappeared. Instead, she was strangled by the neck and slammed against the cold wall. It wasn't that one wall was knocked down, but that the whole 18 rooms were knocked through. 18 walls were destroyed. And finally, she was pushed against the edge of the magic weapon. She was the ghost mother. In the underworld, she had an immortal body. But at this moment, the bones in her entire back were broken. She spit out a mouthful of black mist, which was her soul energy. In the words of the human world, she was spitting blood. The ghost mother never knew that this man was so powerful. He was obviously at the same level as her. But how could he beat her in her territory? No, not beat her, but crushed her. The ghost mother's soul energy was overflowing. People in the underworld had no blood, and soul energy was their blood. Once the soul energy was gone, they would be wiped out. The demon cultivator staggered through the big holes and came to the Lord of Demons. He knelt down with a plop. "Please forgive the ghost mother. It's all my fault. The ghost mother was coerced by me. I am willing to be punished. Please punish me." "Lord. Lord?" The ghost mother was dumbfounded. Is this young man who looks less than 20 years old the new demon lord of the demon clan? The young man who is rumored to be more talented than the old demon lord? How could it be him? He is even more powerful than the rumors. Xiao Zhao. Cough cough cough. Yin Shuzi also came over. She walked over with her own legs. She passed 18 walls, and was choked by the wall dust. Xiao Zhao. Where are you? Are you okay? The Lord of Demons coldly threw the ghost mother aside, wiped his hands with a handkerchief, and then reached out to hold Yin Shuzi, who almost hit the wall. Women are always very sensitive in this regard. When the ghost mother saw the devil lord taking good care of the young man, she felt that the relationship between the two was probably not simple. I didn't expect that the powerful young devil lord actually liked men. At the critical moment of life and death, the ghost mother didn't care about the surprise in her heart. She only knew that all her hopes were on this man in white. She knelt down in front of Yin Shuzi and cried, "Master, please let us go. We know we are wrong. We won't dare to do it again." Yin Shuzi said seriously, "Let you go? How can I do that? You have harmed so many people." The ghost mother burst into tears. "Young master, all the mistakes are my fault. If you want to kill me, just kill me. Let Huanlang go. He is innocent. I taught him to do this. I let him absorb yang qi." "Don't say it." The demon cultivator stopped her. "Everyone has his own actions. I am the one who should die, and I am the one who should be reduced to ashes. You have to live." The ghost mother cried, "What's the point of me living alone? The demon cultivator winked at her fiercely, signaling her to stop talking. Yin Shuzi suddenly realized that these two people were hiding something from them. Chapter 806. Yin Shuzi is not a kind-hearted person. If she was, she would not have brought such trouble to the town. You think you can make her kind-hearted with a few tears? Come on. Yin Shuzi looked at the ghost mother kneeling in front of her unmoved, with someone backing her up. She was very arrogant, this little. She wanted to say miss. But when she reached her lips, she realized that it was wrong. She suddenly had an idea and said, "This young master will give you a chance to confess and be lenient. Remember, there is only one chance. You'd better think it through before answering." The ghost mother looked at Yin Shuzi, and then looked at the demon lord, who was guarding Yin Shuzi like a demon god. In an instant, she realized that this seemingly innocent young man had discovered that she and Huanlang were hiding something from them. When ordinary people learn that the ghost mother of the underworld has an unclear relationship with a dead demon cultivator. They will fall into great shock and have no time to wonder about other things. This young man, although he looks innocent, has a calmer and better mind than most people. The ghost mother was filled with grief, and suddenly she smiled with trembling shoulders. When the demon cultivator saw her like this, he knew that she had given up resistance, and he shouted, "Ghost mother, don't!" The ghost mother raised her hand to wipe the hot tears on her face. In fact, these were not tears. The ghost cultivator didn't even have blood. So where did the tears come from? This was the transformation of the soul energy that was more precious than the soul energy in the body. Every drop was 10 years of cultivation. The ghost mother said bitterly, at this point. What else can't be said? Anyway, we can't take care of it. We can't take care of it anymore. At the end, she actually covered her face and cried. What can't you take care of? Yin Shuzi asked. The ghost mother looked at the demon cultivator, who turned his face away sadly, as if he had compromised. No matter what the ghost mother said next, he would not stop her. The ghost mother stood up with the help of the wall, looked at the demon lord and Yin Shuzi, and said slowly and lowly, "Please follow me." Gentlemen. Yin Shuzi took a step and jumped over, regardless of whether the demon lord followed. The demon lord looked at her back as she shuttled through the wall, and his heart was a little sour. Awan never acted on her own. When she was with Yin Jiuchao, she would look at him first before making any decision, not waiting for his affirmation, but telling him that she wanted to do it. What a heartless little thing. The demon lord murmured. Xiao Zhao. Hurry up. It's so choking here. Yin Shuzi in front ran and jumped, without looking back, but made a sound that seemed to be the most beautiful in the world. The demon lord raised his red lips slightly, and quickly followed. You already know that my house is actually a magic weapon, the ghost mother said. Yeah. Yin Shuzi nodded. The two came to the original corridor. The ghost mother looked at the wall at the end, paused, and said, in fact, it is not just a magic weapon, but also a passage connecting to the underworld. Oh! This made Yin Shuzi excited. Do you mean that we can get out of the underworld from here? That's right, the ghost mother said slowly. She noticed from the corner of her eyes that the demon cultivator and the demon master had followed. She raised her hand and took out a key from her bosom. When the key appeared, a keyhole suddenly appeared on the dark wall. The ghost mother inserted the key into the keyhole and turned it gently. The wall in front of her disappeared, and a small path with white light appeared in front of several people. The ghost mother walked over first, then the demon cultivator. The demon master held Yin Shuzi's hand to prevent her from jumping too fast. After passing through this path, they came to another courtyard. The furnishings of this courtyard were exactly the same as the ghost mother's courtyard. There were colorful flowers in the courtyard. The sun was bright. The flowers were fragrant. And there were bees and butterflies chasing among the flowers. Is it still an illusion this time? Yin Shuzi asked the demon master in a low voice. She leaned very close, and her breath fell on his ear, hot, making his ear tip burn. The demon master's throat slid, and he said, It's not an illusion. We have already left the underworld. So fast. Then where is this place? Yin Shuzi looked around. The ghost mother and the demon cultivator stood in the yard without moving, their eyes fixed on the direction of the house, and their fingers were all pinched involuntarily. Yin Shuzi took in the strangeness of the two people, blinked strangely, and looked inside in the direction of their eyes, and was stunned. It was a bright and spacious room, with a low small table in the middle, on which were placed several exquisite and delicious snacks. A 4-year-old boy was kneeling on a cushion beside the small table. He was wearing simple clothes, small in stature, a little thin, and his face was paler than the other children Yin Shuzi had seen. There were snacks on the table, but he didn't eat any of them. Instead, he groped with his hands, took a piece of snack, and fed it to a little rabbit in his arms. For some reason, Yin Shuzi felt that his movements were a bit clumsy. Yin Shuzi stared at him for a long while, pulled the sleeve of the demon lord, leaned close to his ear and whispered, "Why do I feel that this child is weird?" The demon lord glanced at the demon cultivator behind him and said calmly, "He can't see." What? Yin Shuzi was stunned. Such a beautiful child is actually blind? The ghost mother waved her hand to set up a soundproof array, walked forward a few steps, came to Yin Shuzi's side, and choked with laughter. His name is Xiao Shurtu, and he just turned 4 years old the day before yesterday. Is Xiao Shi your child with Huan Lang? Yin Shusi asked. The ghost mother nodded. Yin Shusi frowned in confusion. You are a ghost cultivator. He is a demon cultivator. Can you too have a child? The ghost mother shook her head bitterly. Originally, it was impossible. But I accumulated a lot of merit in the underworld, and was highly valued by the underworld. It happened that a big case happened in the underworld. And a fierce ghost escaped from the underworld and committed crimes in the human world. I was sent to the underworld to investigate the case. In order to make it easier to walk outside, the underworld gave me a body. And that was when I met Huan Lang. Yin Shusi crossed his fingers. Then you two fell in love at first sight. Loved each other. And gave birth to a child without hesitation? That's right. The ghost mother nodded. I wanted to stay out for a few more years so that I could accompany Xiao Shi to grow up. But then the evil ghost was caught. And I had no reason to stay out. So I had to return to the underworld. Yin Shusi secretly sighed. And didn't expect that the ghost mother and the demon cultivator had such a lingering story. The ghost mother smiled with tears in her eyes and said, in fact, it doesn't matter even if I go back. Although I can't always wander around in the outside world. I can visit them from time to time. It's just that after I lost my human body, I am just a simple ghost cultivator. I can't get too close to them. And I can't talk to them, lest they be infected by the underworld energy in my body. Hearing this, Yin Shusi was very vigilant and pulled Xiao Xiao away from her. The ghost mother smiled. Please rest assured, young master. With the current realm of the two of you, there is no need to be afraid of the underworld. As for the child in the backpack, although I don't know what realm she is in, she has been in the underworld for so long and has no discomfort at all. She must be born with a special physique, and the underworld cannot harm her. How do you know there is a child in the backpack? Her breath is not easily detected by others. The ghost mother smiled. After all, one of us is a ghost mother, and the other is a corpse. How can we not be aware of the breath of a living person? Oh! Yin Shusi was relieved. Then what about the two of them? Young master, do you want to ask how they died? The ghost mother's smile became bitter again. Accident. It was an accident. That happened a year ago. A righteous cultivator successfully broke through to the Hinayana realm and attracted 3 thunders. He blocked the first 2. But he was really unable to resist the third one. It happened that Huan Lang passed by with a small stone. When the righteous monks saw that they were demon cultivators, they grabbed them without saying a word to block the thunder. The 2 of them were struck by the thunder before they could even react. When the thunder struck, Huan Lang held his son tightly in his arms and poured all his demonic energy into protecting him. I know that the saint and the demon cannot coexist. If he fights Huan Lang openly, I respect him as a man. But why did he grab Huan Lang to block the thunder for him? Why did he not even let a 4-year-old child go? Our son, what did Huan Lang and I do wrong? Just because he was born a demon, should he be caught and killed? Should he become a stepping stone for you so-called righteous monks? Little Stone was born blind. But he never complained. He is very kind, very considerate, loves his father very much. When he was alive, he was reluctant to step on even an ant. Why treat him so cruelly? Why? The ghost mother roared in pain. Yin Shusi found that her beautiful face gradually became ferocious, with hard edges and corners, high cheekbones, black and purple lips, and upturned eyebrows. That was the real face of the ghost mother, as scary as a ghost. At this moment, Yin Shusi seemed to finally understand the intentions of the ghost mother and the demon cultivator. They absorbed yang energy, not because the demon cultivator was afraid of death, but just to be able to come back every day to take care of their children. Chapter 807. He seems to be ill, and won't live for a few days. The Lord of Demons suddenly spoke. Yin Shusi looked at him blankly, then turned to look at the demon cultivator and the ghost mother beside him. Both of them showed a strong look of pain on their faces. The ghost mother said that day, Huan Lang and Xiao Shi were struck by the thunder. Although Xiao Shi was protected in Huan Lang's arms, he was injured after all. Huan Lang took his last breath and took Xiao Shi to the clinic. But do you know what the result was? It is conceivable what will happen when a demon cultivator takes a demon child to the clinic in the Holy Land. Yin Shusi almost didn't need to listen to the rest, and he understood what they had encountered. The physique of the demon cultivator is stronger than that of the righteous cultivator, and Huan Lang's realm is not low. If it weren't for protecting his son, he could have completely taken the thunder. But he didn't do so. He used all his strength on his son. Even so, he didn't die on the spot, But he was seriously injured. He was no longer a threat to the righteous monks. But the righteous monks would not let him go just because he was injured. They beat him, bullied him, picked up weapons to kill him, and hit him with fists like snowflakes. He didn't fight back, but just knelt quietly in front of the clinic, begging the doctors to save his dying son. The ghost mother can still call out the names of those clinics, and all the monks who participated in beating them and their son. All those civilians and monks you captured, are they the ones who stood by and beat them? More than that, the ghost mother took a deep breath and laughed until tears fell. I let ordinary people go. They have no obligation to save the dying and heal the wounded. But why do the people in the clinic? Aren't they doctors? Aren't they saving the dying and heal the wounded? And are kind-hearted? And those monks? Yin Xiaozi understood that there were many people present at the time, and many people beat them. But she only punished the people in the clinic and the monks with cultivation. Whether ordinary people stood by and watched or beat the father and son, the ghost mother did not touch them. Huan Lang didn't have to die. My son didn't have to be injured so badly. If it wasn't for them. If it wasn't for them. The ghost mother screamed hysterically. Stop it! Stop it! The demon cultivator hugged the ghost mother's shoulders, and hot tears burst out of his eyes. Little Stone was born as a demon. Like the demon cultivator, he could not enter the cycle of reincarnation. Once he died, he would completely disappear from the 6 realms. The ghost mother and the demon cultivator hoped to accompany their son to the end of his life. They sent their son away first, and then the ghost mother sent him away. The ghost mother grabbed the demon cultivator's wrist with her backhand, leaned on the man's chest, and glanced at the demon master and Yin Xiaozi. The demon master's hands were already covered in blood, but the young man's eyes were clear. The ghost mother laughed at herself and said to Yin Xiaozi, maybe you will think that those people do not deserve to die. But what I want to say is that I don't feel guilty at all for killing them. Yin Xiaozi opened his mouth, not knowing how to answer. She, Yin Xiaozi, was not some great official. She did not sympathize with those people. She just felt sorry for the child. No one was innocent in the whole incident, except him. Yin Xiaozi looked at the man and the rabbit in the room. The first carrot snack had been eaten, and the little boy fumbled for the second piece to feed it. Yin Xiaozi then discovered that there was a strange scar on the rabbit. The ghost mother choked and said, he picked it up from the road. At that time, the rabbit was shot by an arrow, and he saved it. I can't remember how many little things he has saved. He always saves this and that. But who will save him? Chapter 808 Extra. Why? Are you sad? The demon lord looked at Yin Xiaozi, who suddenly fell silent. Yin Xiaozi nodded. She was not sad for those who brought it upon themselves. Regardless of whether the retribution they received exceeded their sentence. They were indeed wrong first. What's wrong with Xiao Shi too? He was born blind, which is already very pitiful. The demon lord did not speak. His heart was as hard as iron, and he would not be moved by such things. He was still young at that time, and when Yin Xiaozi's family entered his heart, he still had the last soft spot in his heart. She was different. She was an innocent and righteous little girl from beginning to end. Although I can't do anything. But he should have it. The demon lord gestured to the backpack behind him with his eyes. Are you talking about the Holy Lord? Yin Xiaozi blinked. The demon lord said calmly, I hope he has it. Otherwise, it would be a waste of my high regard for him. Yin Xiaozi's eyes rolled around. No matter whether the Holy Lord had a way or not, she couldn't let the ghost mother and the demon cultivator know that she and the Holy Lord had exchanged identities. She coughed lightly and said to the two, you stay here and reflect on your mistakes. Let's go in and see if there is any way to save Xiao Shi too. When the ghost mother heard that they saved her son, her eyes lit up. Are you serious? Young master, Yin Xiaozi said, I didn't say I can definitely save him. Don't be too happy too soon. Also, when we treat Xiao Shi too, you are not allowed to peek. Otherwise, if I find out, I might kill him too. This should involve personal skills and sect inheritance. Plagiarizing other people's skills is a heinous crime. The ghost mother still has this bottom line, so she hurriedly agreed. In fact, no matter whether they can be cured or not, she has tried her best. Anyway, no one is willing to cure Xiao Shi too except them. The demon lord casually removed the ghost mother's soundproof array and set up a new one, so that even if the ghost mother and the demon cultivator wanted to spy, they could not spy. Footsteps sounded at the door. The little boy turned his head and said, Dad, are you and Mom here? when the demon cultivator came to visit Xiao Shi too. As long as the ghost mother was with him, he would tell the little boy that Mom was there. But Mom couldn't talk or hold him because Mom was sick and was afraid that the disease would be passed on to him. The ghost mother couldn't talk or get close to the little boy, but she could make footsteps. As long as he heard footsteps other than his father's, the little boy would habitually think that Mom was here too. The reason why there was no other guess was that there was no one else in the world who would accompany him except his parents. His words stumped Yin Shuzi and the Demon Lord. The Demon Lord just accompanied Yin Shuzi in, but was inexplicably recognized as a wild father. Of course he didn't accept it. Yin Shuzi pulled his sleeve and looked at him pleadingly. The Demon Lord shook his head. Yin Shuzi popped up his cheeks and acted cute. Please. The Demon Lord set up another soundproof barrier. Call me Brother Xiao Xiao, and I will answer. Brother Xiao Xiao. Yin Shuzi called without hesitation. 100 threats and inducements flashed through the Demon Lord's mind. The Demon Lord removed the soundproof barrier for the two of them, and said to the little boy in the voice of a demon cultivator, Yes. It's me. You and me. Your mother is here to see you. Yin Shuzi gave the Demon Lord a thumbs up. In order not to scare the little guy, he lowered his cultivation when he entered the door. And in order to gain the little guy's trust, he slightly released a little of his own magic. It was this familiar breath that made Xiao Shi more and more certain that the person coming was his father. Hold. Xiao Shi stretched out his little hand in the direction of the Demon Lord. The Demon Lord had a toothache. It's fine if someone recognizes him as a wild father. But why do you have to hold him? The Demon Lord doesn't want to hold him. Yin Shuzi pulled his sleeves, looked at him in a very cute way, and silently called, Brother Xiao Xiao. This tone is really deadly. The Demon Lord picked up Little Stone in a second. Little Stone didn't play for long before he fell asleep peacefully in the broad arms of Daddy. But how can we save Little Stone? Yin Shuzi looked at his hands and asked with a frown. I don't understand the Saint Lord's ability. You can ask him. The Demon Lord took out the little Saint Lord and put him on the fruit plate he had emptied. The little Saint Lord looked at the Demon Lord with resentment. He can't speak. Yin Shuzi pinched the little Saint Lord's face. The little Saint Lord's eyes became more resentful. Who said he must speak? The Lord Demon hooked his red lips and tapped the eyebrows of Yin Shuzi and the little saint respectively. Yin Shuzi felt a shudder all over his body. The next second, he heard the little saint complain, Don't be too arrogant. When this saint recovers, you will be in trouble. I really heard it. Yin Shuzi's eyes were bright. What did you hear? The little saint had an icy face. I heard you talking. Yin Shuzi looked at him with surprise. I can hear your thoughts. The little saint looked at the Lord Demon coldly. Did you use psychic magic? This was his own voice. The Lord Demon couldn't hear it, but Yin Shuzi could. Yin Shuzi suddenly realized, so this is called spiritualism. So powerful. Brother Xiao Xiao, can you teach me when we get out? Won't this Saint Master teach you? Why do you need to ask this bastard? Inadvertently, the Saint Master's inner voice popped up in his mind again. Yin Shuzi looked at him with wide eyes. Saint Master, so you can also curse people? The Saint Master was silent. No, I didn't. You heard it wrong. What's wrong with cursing him? This bastard deserves to be cursed. Damn it! Stop thinking. The Saint Master silently recited the Heart Sutra of Prajnaparamita in his heart. Yin Shuzi. Actually, Yin Shuzi thinks this spiritualism is pretty cool. When she learns it, she will use it on Brother Debeo to see what Brother Debeo thinks about every day. By the way, Holy Lord, do you have a way to save Little Stone? Yin Shuzi asked. Little C is so pretty. Huh? Yin Shuzi was stunned. The little Holy Lord's hair stood on end. He quickly said in his mind, Yin Shuzi is not pretty. Yin Shuzi's face sank. Little Holy Lord. A quarter of an hour later, the white and fat little Holy Lord on the plate turned into a bruised and swollen little Holy Lord. Little Stone was injured when he was caught to block the thunder. The injury was very serious. Ordinary people really couldn't save him. But that was not the Holy Lord. Brother Xiao Xiao, the Holy Lord said that he needs your help. Yin Shuzi relayed the voice in his mind to the Lord of Demons. Let him speak for himself, said the Lord Demon. Yin Shuzi, ah? The Lord Demon looked at the little saint at ease. The little saint was compassionate. And of course, he would not say that he could not be cured. The little saint clenched his chubby little fists and uttered the first sound of his chubby life in a very humiliating way. Woo wow! The Lord Demon laughed so hard that he fell over. The Lord Demon followed the words of the little saint, and used his strength to protect the heart of the little stone. The little saint guided Yin Shiusi to force the thunder power in the little stone out little by little, and into the Lord Demon's body. After all, this is a thunderbolt. If it is not completely crushed, it may spread out and cause terrible harm to innocent people. The Lord Demon did not have such worries, because he originally had the thunder spirit root, and the thunderbolt was actually a tonic for him. After removing the remaining thunder power in the little stone, the little saint repaired his dantian and tendons. After doing all this, the little saint didn't think about anything in his mind, just staring at the Lord Demon. Lord Demon understood, sighed, cut his fingertips, and dripped a drop of blood into little stone's mouth. He is the Lord Demon, and also the body of blood Rakshasa. His blood is the spiritual fluid of all demons. His eyes. Yin Shiusi held the sleeping little stone in her arms, and looked at the little saint and Lord Demon. Although she knew she shouldn't be too greedy, she really hoped that he could see the light again. The big and the small shook their heads together. This is innate, and there is no way to cure it. But if he cultivates to the supreme realm and opens his heavenly eyes, he may be able to see. But it is not like the normal people's vision. Only black and white. Only mirror-like images. Is it difficult to open the heavenly eyes? Yin Shiusi asked. It's harder than ascending to heaven, Lord Demon said. Yin Shiusi nodded and told the ghost mother, and the demon cultivated the truth about the little stone. The two did not grieve for too long because they could not see the little stone. After all, they were very grateful that the little stone was able to save his life. The ghost mother and the demon cultivator knelt down and kowtowed to Yin Shiusi several times. It was for her and the other two benefactors in the room. Yin Shiusi looked at the little stone in his arms and said to the ghost mother and the demon cultivator, "Little stone is innocent, but you two are not. We all understand." The ghost mother turned her head and looked at the demon cultivator with a smile. Huan Lang and I have just discussed that no matter what the result of Little Stone is, we will not go outside to absorb Yang Qi again. Huan Lang. He will take a last look at Little Stone and leave. I will also go to the underworld to accept punishment. Once the demon cultivator loses his Yang Qi, his soul will be scattered, and the ghost mother's ending will probably not be much better than his. Yin Shiusi's voice became low. I heard. The punishment in the underworld is very severe. The ghost cultivators, who commit crimes generally have no chance to reform. They either die or are thrown into Fengdu purgatory and never reincarnate. The ghost mother smiled and nodded with tears in her eyes. She knew this would be the result. But even if she was given another chance to start over, she would still do it. For the sake of her lover and the child with her lover. She would never recover. Do you want to hug him again? Yin Shiusi looked at the sleeping little stone and said. The demon cultivator and the ghost mother looked at each other, and the desire in their eyes was self-evident. But the ghost mother couldn't touch him. Yin Shiusi stared and said, "You get on my body. This will damage the young master's yang energy. And the young master will be weak. Just weak for a few days. I have already discussed it with the Holy Lord." Yin Shiusi stopped in time and said seriously, "Are you going to get on? If not, I'm leaving. Get on! Get on!" The ghost mother rushed over and got on Yin Shiusi's body. The ghost mother's cultivation was strong, and ordinary cultivators could not withstand her dark energy. She could easily kill the other person with one move. The underworld took such people who were killed by the dark energy very seriously, and they would find her as soon as they investigated. Therefore, even though she had wanted to use the method of possession to hug her son countless times in the past, she had held back all of them. With the realm of the Holy Lord, the ghost mother could not actually possess his body, but Yin Shiusi was in a voluntary state, so she easily possessed him. She felt a real touch in her arms again. That was her and Huan Lang's son, the person she loved most in the world. The last time I held him was when he was 1 month old. After that, I went back to the underworld. The ghost mother held her son in her arms, and her whole body was trembling with excitement. The demon cultivator also came over. She held her son, and the demon cultivator held her. She never knew that there would be a day when she could hold her son in her own hands. Such a small thing has grown so big that it hurts her hands to hold him. She could never hold him enough. She lowered her head and kissed his forehead. Hot tears fell on Little Stone's face. Little Stone woke up faintly, with a pair of clear and bright eyes, looking blankly ahead. "Mother, is that you?" "Yeah. The ghost mother nodded vigorously, big tears falling. She hugged her son tightly, as if she wanted to remember this moment forever, and for the rest of her life. She would be doomed in Fengdu Purgatory. Little Stone was very weak, and soon fell asleep again. The ghost mother knew that her time had come. She left Yin-Xiuxi's body. Yin-Xiuxi said to the two, "Don't worry. I will entrust him to the right family, and let him grow up safely." The ghost mother and the demon cultivator kowtowed to Yin-Xiuxi 3 times again. The demon cultivator's yang energy was exhausted. He disappeared in the ghost mother's arms. His body was annihilated into ashes inch by inch. The powerful demon energy overflowed and fed back to the entire demon domain. Every time a cultivator dies, his cultivation will be used to feed back to this land. This is probably the law of the endless life of Xingzi continent. I should go too, the ghost mother said to Yin-Xiuxi. But before I leave, I have something to give. The ghost mother was going to say the demon lord, but when the words came to her lips, she smiled and shook her head. The young man in white seemed to be unaware of the identity of the demon lord. She didn't want to let it slip. Some things are between two people, and it's best for others not to interfere. The ghost mother said, "Can I see the young master for the last time? I want to thank him in person." "Oh, okay." This request sounded reasonable, and Yin-Xiuxi agreed very readily. The ghost mother went to the inner room to meet the demon lord and the chubby little Saint Lord sitting on the plate. The ghost mother did not ask about the specific identity of the little Saint Lord, but knelt down and kowtowed to the demon lord, saying, "I came here to give the demon lord something. Would I cherish your things?" The demon lord said lightly. The ghost mother smiled and said, "It is indeed not a powerful thing for others, but it is exactly what the demon lord needs." "Oh!" The demon lord's eyebrows moved. The ghost mother looked at the chubby little kid and said, "This child seems to have a restriction in her body. She is not attacked by the dark energy, which means that her body should be stronger than most people. In this case, she is still restricted. It should not be simply to protect her, but because her strength is too strong and needs to be suppressed. Am I right? How do I know if it is right? I lost her when I was 3 years old." However, the ghost mother's words seemed to remind the Lord of Demons. Not only the body is restricted, but even the soul is not spared. This is not to protect Yin-Xiuxi, but to guard against Yin-Xiuxi. After Yin-Xiuxi's soul left her body, the restriction in her body immediately compressed her back to the state of 8 months old. This is because, after the restriction of the soul is lost, her strength can no longer be suppressed by only one restriction, and she must be suppressed back to the state of an infant as soon as possible. Otherwise, once her aura is released, it will tear the entire space of the Holy Land apart. If that happens, all the spiritual energy and demonic energy will dissipate. The air will be drained, and everyone will be doomed. She is not sick. She is too strong. The Holy Land is still too weak to bear her strength. But our underworld can. Among the 6 realms, only the underworld is endless. No matter how much energy comes, the underworld can hold as much energy as it comes, the ghost mother said, slowly spitting out a black bead. "This is my soul bead, which is equivalent to the inner elixir of a cultivator. As long as she carries the soul bead with her, the soul bead will automatically open the passage to the underworld and introduce her excess power into the underworld at any time." "Will the underworld really be alright?" the demon lord asked meaningfully. The ghost mother understood what she meant. No one in the underworld will find out. And even if they do, they won't know where it came from, let alone who can absorb her power and raise an unknown enemy. I can guarantee you these points. Little Stone still needs your blessing, and I care about your safety more than anyone else. The demon lord did not doubt her sincerity. Then where will her power go? The ghost mother looked at the boundless sky with a hint of holiness and longing. Her power will become the stars on the Forgotten River, illuminating the entire Forgotten River. The demon lord accepted the bead. He strung the bead with a rope and hung it around the neck of the little saint. Since the bead was for Yin-Xiuxi, it should be right to hang it on Yin-Xiuxi's body. However, the demon lord waited and waited until he was sleepy. But he didn't wait for the little saint to exchange with Yin-Xiuxi. At this time, the demon lord suddenly realized something. The ghost mother only said that this bead could help Yin-Xiuxi absorb her excess power, but she didn't say that it could change Yin-Xiuxi and the Holy Lord back. Their souls were moved by the thunder, so maybe it would take another thunder to be effective. Will ordinary thunder work? The demon lord pondered and called Yin-Xiuxi over. Before Yin-Xiuxi could ask what was going on, he struck 2 thunders, one on the Holy Lord and one on Yen Shiusi. The two were instantly turned into charcoal. Yen Shiusi. The demon lord looked at the two and shouted. Yen Shiusi blew out a puff of black smoke. Why are you hitting me? Damn! It's still the body of the Holy Lord. Is it because the thunder is not enough? Since the demon lord knew that Yen Shiusi could not be killed by the thunder, he was relieved and started to hit him. Swish. 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 Anyway, the excess power will be sucked into the underworld, so there is no need to worry about collapsing anything. But Yen Shiusi and the little Holy Lord were both burned black by the thunder, and they still couldn't be replaced. Does it really take thunder from the sky? The demon lord gritted his teeth, used all the power of thunder, and slammed into the dome. The dome shook, and it really attracted the thunder from the sky. The demon lord hurriedly grabbed the two and lifted them above his head. Brother Xiao Xiao. Chuckle chuckle. Woo wow 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 wow. The two were struck so hard that they stuck out their tongues and trembled all over. However, this still seemed to be useless. Yen Shiusi was still the Holy Lord, and the Holy Lord was still the little Yen Shiusi. The two had been struck like salted fish, lying on the ground in unison. Dizzy, the Lord Demon came to the two of them with great sorrow. Looked at the fat white, no, now the little Holy Lord should be considered black. And then looked at the charcoal Yen Shiusi. Knelt on one knee, gently hugged Yen Shiusi into his arms, and said domineeringly, listen to me. Even if you can't change it back in your lifetime, even if you can only be a man from now on, then you are also my man. After saying that, as if to prove his determination, he closed his eyes and kissed the little black man in his arms. He kept hypnotizing himself. This is Xiao Si. Xiao Si. Xiao Si. Brother Xiao Xiao. What are you doing? A confused voice sounded from behind the demon lord, with the tenderness and sweetness of a girl, like the sound of nature. The demon lord's body froze for a moment. He widened his eyes and looked at the Holy Lord, who also widened his eyes. Then he turned his head and looked at the graceful girl who was rubbing her eyes, and his face turned pale. He stood up suddenly, and the Holy Lord fell to the ground. The next second, the two turned their heads at the same time and covered their chests. Ugh. Chapter 809 Extra. Yen Shiusi and the Holy Lord exchanged their bodies. The Holy Lord brought back all the missing people, whether alive or dead. Among the 17 people, there were 3 disciples of the holy sect. They entered late, and all of them were still breathing. The master of the Taishu realm was also fine. The bodies of the rest were sent to the local government office and taken back by their families. The memories of the living had long been cleared by the ghost mother. In the end, they only remembered that they had fought with a demon cultivator in the town, and they could not remember anything else. The underworld involved Yen Shiusi's secret. The Holy Lord did not announce the exact process to the public, and of course denied that it was in the territory of the immortal sect. I did not enter the restriction of the immortal sect. It happened to be outside the restriction of the immortal sect. A lost secret realm. Now that secret realm has been closed by me, the Holy Lord said to Master Lin and the guardian elders, the disciples of the holy sect who had fought with the demon cultivator that day, as well as senior brother Jing who went to the scene to investigate afterwards, all thought that it was the restriction of the immortal sect that kept them out. But since the Holy Lord said it was the restriction of the secret realm, then it must be the restriction of the secret realm. The Holy Lord is always right, and the holy sect will not lie. At least, it will not lie to protect the immortal sect. In the entire immortal sect, the only people who witnessed the Holy Lord and Yen Jiuchao's family together were Shui Yuqing and the white-haired old man. After returning to the sect, the two did not say a word, so no one knew that they had a relationship. In addition, the Holy Lord had not had any dealings with the immortal sect in these years, at least in their opinion, so the Holy Lord had no reason to make an exception for the immortal sect. Yen Shiusi returned to Shunfeng Mountain. When Fu Rushua and the others saw her appear in the colorful garden and completely outshine the whole garden, they almost suspected that they were dazzled. Am I seeing right? That little witch is back again. Wasn't she scared away by the thunder? She came back with the Holy Lord, and the Holy Lord's friend. The three of them went up the mountain together. No! They went into the house, without the Holy Lord's order. The few of them didn't even dare to go into the house to serve tea and water. But that girl actually walked in with her head held high? So angry. Yin Shuzi came to the Holy Lord to ask him to lift the ban for her. I heard it all. The ghost mother gave you a bead? No. She gave me a bead. With that bead, I don't need your restriction anymore. In fact, Yin Shuzi was busy coaxing the half-asleep little stone at that time, and didn't listen carefully to the conversation between the demon lord and the ghost mother. It was only when she exchanged her body with the Holy Lord that she realized the significance of the bead to herself from the remnant of his thoughts left in her mind. It's a bit abstract to say this, but at that time, the Holy Lord's voice was indeed echoing in her mind. With this bead, her restriction can be almost lifted. This bead can cure the demonic energy in my body. Right? Then why don't you quickly lift the restriction for me? Yin Shuzi knelt beside the small table, lying on the table, looking at the Holy Lord with resentment and pleading. No! No! It was the same voice from the Holy Lord and the Demon Lord. Yin Shuzi looked at them strangely. Do you want to breathe out of the same nostril? Is it really good to be so obvious? This is not how you show affection. The reason why the two disagreed was that the restriction in Yin Shuzi's body had been lifted. But she didn't know it, and her not knowing was definitely not a bad thing. At least not for the two of them. I won't give up. I won't leave your palace until you lift the restriction for me. I tell you. I'm serious. I'm not easy to feed. I eat a lot. I ate all the pets and beasts in your back mountain. Yin Shuzi said fierce words, took the bow and arrow and went out, in order to prove that she could really eat up the Holy Lord's mountain. She was also very hard. The corners of the Holy Lord's lips curled up slightly, and he might not have noticed it himself. But it didn't escape the eyes of the Demon Lord. The Demon Lord narrowed his eyes slightly, as if thinking about something. Yin Shuzi went hunting, and he hunted all day. The Holy Lord knelt on the mat in the study and read a book. The orange-red sunset fell, shining on the ancient book that exuded the fragrance of ink. The Demon Lord lay leisurely on the hammock on the side, with one hand behind his head and the other hand playing a golden flute. Lord Saint didn't look at him, just turned a page of the book and said, "She hasn't come back for so long. Don't you worry about her? Don't you go find her? It seems that the one you should worry about now is not her, but your pet in the back mountain." Right? Lord Demon looked at the roof leisurely. If I guess correctly, your palace is not a magic weapon, but a fairy weapon. And the little pet inside is not a spiritual pet, but a fairy pet. Right? You just fed the girl and the big bird. Don't you feel bad? The most powerful weapon in Xingza continent was a spiritual weapon. But a fairy weapon is more advanced than a spiritual weapon. It is said that it is hard to find. There are only 2 fairy weapons in the entire continent. Don't you feel bad? The fairy magic flute blessed by the Holy Buddha was sent to that girl. Aren't you afraid that she will empty your family's wealth? Yes. The flute given to Yin Shuzi in the underworld is the real fairy magic flute. And what he is playing with now is just an ordinary golden flute. His heavenly demon palace was inside. At least the Holy Lord's palace was still in his hands. He knew what treasure Yin Shuzi had destroyed. But the Demon Lord was different. His entire fortune was in his hands. The Demon Lord snorted coldly. What do you think of Shuzi? She's not a prodigal son. How could she possibly empty his fortune? The Holy Lord smiled faintly. I mean, that girl doesn't know that her power has awakened. And she doesn't know how to control her strength. Aren't you afraid that she will blow up your heavenly demon palace? The Demon Lord sneered. How is it possible? As soon as the voice fell, a loud sound of the earth-shattering sound came from the valley of Shumfeng Mountain. Something exploded in the Demon Lord's mind. He stood up and stared blankly out the window. The next second, a charred holy luan flew back with Yin Shuzi on its back. Yin Shuzi held the flute in one hand and covered his mouth and nose with the other, choking on the smoke until tears came out. Brother Xiao Zhao, your flute doesn't sound. So I shook it a few times, and then a small house fell out. I squeezed it and accidentally crushed it. The Lord Demon with black eyes. The immortal demon flute is the second immortal weapon in Xingza continent, because it is blessed with the power of the demon clan. It is more advanced than the Holy Lord Palace in terms of grade. The space inside it is as large as 3 holy peak mountains. The heavenly demon palace on the top of the peak is even more magnificent, with all kinds of treasures. Are you sure you just shook it a few times? How much force did you use to shake the palace that was firmly built on the fairy demon mountain? The Demon Lord accidentally became a man without a house, and he felt that his heart was not well. Brother Xiao Zhao, is that toy house important to you? Yin Shirsi said aggrievedly. I'll ask my father and brother Debeo to make you a new one. The toys they make are very good and won't explode if you pinch them. Demon Palace, is it my fault that it explodes if you pinch it? No need. It's just a little toy. It's gone if it's gone, the Demon Lord said with a smile that was uglier than crying. Are all the things inside small? What does this mean? Yin Shirsi scratched his head. Things will fall out of the flute. It's quite fun. So I just shook it a little more. The Lord Demon resisted the urge to vomit blood and asked calmly, Oh, what did you shake out? Nothing. Just a small black snake. His magic dragon. A little chicken. His demon phoenix. And a, what? Yin Shirsi gestured thoughtfully. A big flying fish. Kuenping. The ancient Kuenping has long been extinct. It is the soul of the ancient Kuenping. But if it is raised for a while, it may be possible to use magic to shape its true body and make an ancient little Kuenping. What did you do with him? The Lord Demon asked in a trembling voice. Yin Shirsi lowered his head guiltily and licked the corner of his lips. Well, I ate it. The Lord Demon finally couldn't hold on any longer, spit out a mouthful of old blood, and fell to the ground. But, before Yin Shirsi could say anything, they laid eggs. And she kept all the eggs. A total of 3. Not one less. It was also at this moment that the Holy Lord and the Lord Demon realized a problem at the same time. After Yin Shirsi's power awakened, she needed to eat something very powerful. Otherwise it would not satisfy her needs. She didn't intend to eat the magic dragon, the demon phoenix and the soul body Kuenping. But her instinct was at work. The Demon Lord looked at Yin Shirsi with tears in his eyes. Aren't the chickens, ducks, and fish from Shifeng Mountain fragrant? Long Long, Fong Fong, and Pupong are so cute. How can they be eaten? Yin Shirsi said, yes, but not as fragrant as your little snakes, chickens, and flying fish. The Demon Lord straightened his back instantly. Of course, his demon beasts are of a higher level than these spirit beasts. In other words, righteous cultivators cannot eat food with demonic energy. At the very least, they cannot digest it. And at the worst, they will be corroded by the demonic energy and their cultivation will be damaged. However, Yin Shirsi has no such problem at all. She can even eat souls. However, with Yin Shirsi's eating speed, it will not take long for the demonic beasts and plants in Xianmo Mountain and Shifeng Mountain to be destroyed. And the exotic beasts and plants outside will probably not satisfy Yin Shirsi's appetite. To improve this tight situation, the best way is to ascend and open the passage to the upper level. In fact, with the current strength of the two, they only need an opportunity to ascend. However, there are risks in ascending. When the cultivators advance, they will encounter heavenly thunder. There are 3 heavenly thunders in the Taishi realm, 6 heavenly thunders in the Hinayana realm, and 9 heavenly thunders in the Mahayana realm. Each one is more terrible than the other. Only a few can survive it. The risks faced by ascending are even greater. What the ascenders encounter is not called heavenly thunder, but thunder tribulation. It is a battlefield composed of countless heavenly thunders, which can almost tear the ascenders into pieces. The principle is that the ascenders are too powerful and exceed the limit that this space can bear. Therefore, the laws of heaven will send down heavenly thunder to kill the ascenders to maintain the stability of this world. Once the thunder tribulation fails to kill the ascenders, the laws of heaven and earth will open a channel for the ascenders to fly to a place that can accommodate their strength. Demon Lord, are you really going to ascend? Don't you want us? In the garden, the demon cultivator asked the Demon Lord with tears and snot. The Demon Lord looked disgusted. What do you want? Good looks or good figures? The demon cultivator, who was choked to death. The Demon Lord didn't completely ignore the demons. No one stipulated that people who ascended to heaven couldn't come back. Just suppress the realm. What he was not sure about was whether Zhou Jin would ascend with him. From a personal point of view, he certainly didn't want to see the guy again. But if that guy was still pestering Shao Si, he couldn't really kill him. What is the Demon Lord thinking? The demon cultivator asked curiously when he saw his master at a loss. I wonder if that guy will also ascend, said the Demon Lord. Holy Lord. The demon cultivator frowned and said, with his strength, he should have been able to ascend long ago. The reason why he did not attract the thunder is mainly because he is the master of this world. He has long been integrated with the laws of heaven and earth of the Holy Land. If he is strong, the Holy Land will be strong. So the laws of heaven will not easily reject him. The Demon Lord snorted. What about me? Does the laws of heaven not reject me? Or is my strength not enough to arouse the vigilance of the laws of heaven? The demon cultivator hurriedly said, You are the master of the demon domain. Your strength, to a large extent, also feeds back to the demon domain. So it is not so easy to cause the strangulation of the laws of heaven. Otherwise, you too do something that is outrageous to both humans and gods? The demon lord rolled his eyes at him. The demon cultivator smiled awkwardly. I'm just talking. Just joking. Just joking. The demon lord said expressionlessly, You continue to stay in the holy sect to inquire about the news of the Rakshasa king. I will go to meet Zhou Jin. Yes. The demon cultivator agreed. The holy lord had just taken off his complicated outer robe, wearing only a thin undergarment, and was going to take a bath in the spiritual spring. He would come to the spiritual spring to take a bath when he was troubled. Unexpectedly, before he stepped out of the pool, a sound of footsteps came from behind him. He has grown up so much, but he still walks the same way as Debeo when he was a child. The holy lord's eyes moved, put away the things in his hands, and said calmly, What are you doing here? Take a bath. What? You won't let me? He asked if I would let him, but he started to take off his clothes. The holy lord ignored him, and walked straight to the spiritual spring. The demon lord took off his shirt, revealing his tight skin and a powerful mermaid line. He curled his red lips and said, Are you also planning to ascend? Don't blame me for not reminding you. The thunder tribulation is blind. I say this to you as well. The holy lord said calmly, I'm not afraid of thunder. The demon lord spread his hands. He had the ability to control thunder, so the thunder tribulation was not a big risk for him. At least for his thunder tribulation. Of course, if Zhou Jin's thunder tribulation hit him, it would be a different situation. However, he didn't plan to go through the tribulation with Zhou Jin. What are you holding in your hand? Isn't it a token of love for Yin Shusi? Haven't you already given up all emotions? The demon lord said with a smile, while reaching out to grab the thing in the holy lord's hand. The thing was white and slippery, like a piece of top-grade mutton fat. As soon as he grabbed it, it slipped out with a sound of bayu. The holy lord's eyes moved, and he bent down to pick it up. Seeing him so nervous, the demon lord decided that it must be something shameful, and was about to bend down to grab it. Unexpectedly, his feet slipped, and he fell forward. By chance, he bumped into the holy lord, who was bending down to pick up something from behind. And the holy lord was not to hold the pillar in front of him. This posture is a bit wrong. The demon lord hurriedly held the holy lord's waist with both hands, trying to use the force to retreat. At this time, Yen Shusi came over. With her came the handsome Lin Zhongju. Zhongju felt that he was going crazy. What did he see? The holy lord bent down to hold the pillar, and the demon lord stood behind him, tightly attached to him, with both hands holding his waist. The holy lord's face was particularly red. Red from the heat. The eyes were wet, steamed by water. What are you doing? Yin Shusi asked with his eyes wide open. The Lord Saint looked at the soap that he had finally picked up and said in a daze, Picking soap? As soon as he finished speaking, there was a loud bang in the dome. In an instant, thunderclouds rolled in the sky and lightning flashed like fire. But when Emoshio was trying to get information from the holy sect, he felt a destructive energy gathering above his head. He looked up and said, Hack! Thunder tribulation. It was a thunder tribulation for two people. The Holy Land and the demon realm were all shrouded in the raging power of thunder. The world was swallowed by huge darkness and panic, and only the violent thunder tribulation seemed to strangle everything. Such a terrifying thunder tribulation almost shocked Emoshio's jaw. Why did he feel that? The law of heaven was not wiping out the two ascenders, but was crushing two beasts to death? What the hell did you two do that was so outrageous to both humans and gods? Chapter 810 Extra. Since ancient times, the Lord of heaven and earth, who ascended to heaven by picking up soap, is probably the first one. No, the first two. The law of heaven was particularly angry. It had been guarding the heaven and earth for many years, and it had never heard of two grown men daring to pick up soap in broad daylight. It's okay to do it, but you still dare to say it? Do you think it's deaf and can't hear it? But Lord of heaven, this picking up soap is really just picking up soap in the literal sense. Lord Demon felt bitter. If he had known it was just a piece of soap, he would not have robbed it. It was too aggrieved to rob a piece of soap and get the thunder tribulation. Lord Demon had been thinking about the opportunity to ascend these days. He thought whether he had to massacre a city and leave millions of corpses to attract the thunder tribulation to strike him. Unexpectedly, a piece of soap did it. However, he never thought that he would face the thunder with Zhou Jin. He has the power to control thunder. His thunder tribulation is different from that of other ascenders. As long as he controls it properly, the power of thunder can be used by him. It is no exaggeration to say that his tribulation is not difficult at all. But if his thunder tribulation is mixed with the thunder tribulation of others, that would be another story. Zhou Jin's thunder tribulation obviously will not let his ascenders go. It would be very painful to hit him. Especially the thunder tribulation is blind. It will turn the world upside down wherever it is within its influence. Generally speaking, there will be something strange before a cultivator ascends. He can sense that he is about to ascend and remind the people around him to evacuate in time to avoid being affected. Today's thunder tribulation is fierce. Not to mention that the two brothers in distress have no time to separate. Even the holy sect can't avoid it so quickly. Sect Master Lin secretly cried out that it was not good. The holy sect was going to be smashed into slag. However, to everyone's surprise, the thunder tribulation in the sky really seemed to have eyes, and only struck the two of them, leaving no one else alone. It was said that it was out of pity for all living beings and did not hurt the innocent. But Sect Master Lin felt that it was not like that. It was more like the thunder tribulation was reluctant to waste a thunderbolt. And every thunderbolt must kill these two beasts. The Lord Demon was struck so badly. The Holy Lord was not much better than him. He had a hard time dealing with his own thunder tribulation. And then, there was the thunder tribulation of the demon clan. You know, the thunder tribulation of the demon clan is more fierce than the thunder tribulation of the righteous cultivators. This is related to the fact that the cultivation of the demon clan cultivators at the same level is higher than that of the righteous cultivators. And the backlash and thunder tribulation they encounter are bound to be more powerful. The Holy Lord was struck so hard that he was burned on the outside and tender on the inside. And black smoke came out of his head. Everyone in the holy sect took out the magic weapons they could as soon as they heard the thunder tribulation, ready to make a dying struggle. But they took off their pants and showed them this. Everyone stared in amazement as the thunder tribulation carefully avoided them and struck the two of them fiercely. The two of them were struck by the thunder tribulation so badly that they almost danced the seaweed dance together. What happened to them? Why were they struck so badly by the thunder? Yin Shioxi felt that she couldn't bear to watch any more. Sect Master Lin was also confused. Who knows what they did and why they were struck like this? Such a terrible thunder tribulation. To be honest, even the storybook dare not write it like this. After the doubts, Sect Master Lin still patiently explained the concepts of thunder tribulation and ascension to Yin Shioxi. Yin Shioxi said, thoughtfully, "You mean they are going through the tribulation? After going through it, they will ascend to the upper level?" That's right. It's hard to say whether they can succeed in going through it. This thunder tribulation is clearly going to kill them. It's unknown how long this thunder tribulation lasted. And everyone's necks were sore. In the end, Yin Shioxi couldn't stand it anymore. She wanted to go to bed. But such a big thunder tribulation made her unable to sleep. She was angry all of a sudden. Then, with strength from nowhere, she suddenly flew up and caught a bolt of lightning that was striking the Lord Demon. The winding lightning was as terrifying as a swimming dragon. But when Yin Shioxi caught it, it instantly became a small light snake. The small light snake twisted a little. Huh? Can't get away? Seeing that she had easily caught the lightning, Yin Shioxi stared at it strangely. She didn't think too much. Since she could catch one, she might as well catch the second one. So then, everyone witnessed something more incredible than two grown men being struck by lightning while picking up soap. Yin Shioxi, the first little waste in the Holy Land, staged a show of catching lightning with bare hands. Those lightnings were particularly arrogant at first. Seeing their companions being caught by a yellow-haired girl, they arrogantly rushed towards her. As a result, Yin Shioxi caught one for each one and two for each one. By the end, Yin Shioxi had 2 bundles of thunder in her hands, and she threw them towards the dome. There was a loud bang, and all the black clouds were blown away. The sky, which was originally full of lightning and thunder, suddenly became silent, and the whole world was in silence. If it weren't for the 2 human-shaped black charcoals with black smoke still floating in the air, everyone would have thought that the thunder tribulation just now was just their illusion. Sect Master Lin looked around in fear, not knowing whether it was his own illusion, but always felt that the laws of heaven and earth, cowardly. It was so cowardly that it even let go of the 2 beasts who picked up soap. Is the thunder tribulation over? Yin Shiusi put her hands on her hips and looked up. Didn't they say that after the thunder tribulation, some ascension channel would be opened? Didn't you see the channel? Isn't this nonsense? There will be a channel only after the thunder tribulation is over. But isn't it over? It is rare that the thunder tribulation dares not to strike down again after it is halfway through. Yin Shiusi rolled up his sleeves. Sect Master Lin felt as if the world was shaking. As if he was frightened again. And almost at the same time, the passage in the dome opened. Sect Master Lin. Not really. That girl just rolled up her sleeves. Why is she so afraid of being beaten? But then again, isn't that girl a good-for-nothing? Has she changed? Or is he dazzled? No matter how stupid Yin Shiusi is, he knows that ascending is not a bad thing. Being able to go to the upper class means being able to see a wider world. Although she doesn't know how the two got the opportunity to ascend. And why there is no sign at all. She is happy for them from the bottom of her heart. Why aren't they moving? If they don't go up, the passage will be closed, Sect Master Lin said worriedly. The passage for ascension is not permanently open. It has a time limit. After the time limit, it will disappear. At present, because the passage is open, the spiritual energy from the previous session is pouring in continuously. This spiritual energy is much purer than that of the Holy Land. All the cultivators feel the improvement of their realm. The only one who didn't feel it was Yin Shiusi. She looked at the passage that was only the size of a door and blinked in surprise. It's so small. Can you squeeze in? As soon as the voice fell, the passage instantly became as big as a small garden. Sect Master Lin staggered and almost went crazy. Yin Shiusi couldn't care so much at the moment. She felt that the reason why the Holy Lord and Brother Xiaozhao didn't ascend was not that they didn't want to ascend, but that they were both struck by the thunder tribulation and couldn't move. So, she flew over, grabbed one in each hand, and flew towards the passage. Sect Master Lin's face immediately changed, and he shouted, "Be careful. There is pressure in the passage, and only the ascenders who have experienced the thunder tribulation can withstand the pressure. Other cultivators will be strangled by the pressure inside as soon as they approach. This is not alarmist. It has been tested by someone. Otherwise, if anyone can enter the passage, then as long as one ascender opens it, the cultivators of the entire sect, or even a large area of Holy Land, can ascend." Sect Master Lin was waiting to collect Yin Shiusi's body, and he was ready to catch Yin Shiusi's body with his clothes. As a result, he saw the three people flying into the passage unimpeded. Sect Master Lin. After the three people flew over, the passage was closed with a whoosh. When the passage was closed, the spiritual energy of the previous session was gone. But even so, in the brief moment just now, the spiritual energy absorbed by the disciples of the Holy Sect was more than they had absorbed in several lifetimes. What no one noticed was that shortly after this passage was closed, a small passage behind a small black cloud not far away, with a stunned expression on its face, quietly closed itself. Of course, the ascension passages of righteous monks and the ascension passages of the demons are different. It was unbearable to think about having three people pass through my body at the same time. It was too big to accommodate. It was a new demon passage that had not been entered by any ascender. Chapter 811 Extra. After the three ascended, they came to an open flat land, surrounded by mountains on three sides, with a large pool in front. Perhaps to match this unique upper level, there were floating fairy air ranging from 1 foot to 2 times, or it could be said to be mountain mist. The three stood on the open ground, looking around in astonishment. "Is this the upper level?" Yin Shiusi asked in confusion. "It's no different from the Holy Land." Of course, she didn't know whether it was different from her hometown. After all, she had never successfully left the Holy Land. The Demon Lord and the Holy Lord were also confused. Except for the richer spiritual energy, there didn't seem to be much difference between this place and the lower level. Even more desolate, within 100 miles, the two people's consciousness could not sense the existence of any living creatures. These living creatures include, but are not limited to humans and animals. Could we have come to the wrong place? The last time was like this, bird-like? The Lord Demon was going to say cocky-like, but when the words came to his lips, he remembered that Yin Shiusi was beside him. So he didn't dare to say anything rogue. So he changed it to bird-like. The Holy Lord frowned for once. He had lived for tens of thousands of years, and naturally knew more than Xiaozhao, a newly appointed young demon lord. However, from his cognition, He definitely did not expect that the last time would be like this. It should be right to come from the Ascension Channel. Are we still on the edge of the last time? He murmured. Ah! Yin Xiuxi suddenly looked at his hands and shouted. I found something. I suddenly became so powerful just now. Have my restrictions been lifted? The two of them felt a little nervous. No. This is worse than finding out that the last session was like this. If this girl realizes that she can do whatever she wants, then the two of them will probably lose their vigor. The Demon Lord said, You didn't solve it. You just accidentally got a crack in the restriction by the Thunder Tribulation. The Holy Lord said, That's right. Don't abuse your ability. The restriction should be solved slowly. And if you force it to break, it will backfire on your body. The two people who are incompatible with each other have maintained a high degree of agreement on this issue. Oh! Seeing that the two of them were so serious, Yin Xiuxi nodded obediently. But if my restriction is solved, I can leave the Holy Land to watch Uncle Tide and get married. Yin Xiuxi said weakly. You didn't solve it. The two said in unison. Yin Xiuxi was stunned by the momentum of the two people. He knew that you two had a good relationship. But do you always breathe out of the same nostril? And you are so in tune with each other. The Holy Lord suddenly said, Let's go forward and see if there are any new discoveries. It's impossible that there is not a single cultivator in such a large area. So many ascenders can't all come here and disappear collectively. Yes. The Lord Demon agreed. Their main purpose of coming here is to find food for Yin Xiuxi. So he doesn't really care whether he can encounter cultivators or not. As long as there are strong enough spirit beasts. Which way are we going? Yin Xiuxi rubbed her eyes. She was sleepy. The time here matches that of the Holy Land. Yin Xiuxi is used to going to bed early and taking a nap in the afternoon. Today, her nap was ruined. So she felt sleepy before it got dark. The Demon Lord squatted down. I'll carry you. Go to sleep. Yin Xiuxi yawned, lay on his back, and fell asleep in a short while. Seeing Yin Xiuxi lying on a man's back so easily, the Holy Lord frowned slightly. Yin Xiuxi is not a person who will easily get close to others, let alone the other party is a man. In fact, even Yin Xiuxi herself can't explain why she doesn't reject the Demon Lord's closeness at all. Obviously, I was worried that he would kill me at the beginning. But the more I get along with him, the more I feel that this person seems to be trustworthy from the bottom of my heart. Yin Xiuxi lay on the broad back of the Demon Lord, with her little head tilted and resting on his shoulder. Brother Xiao Xiao, she said drowsily, I'm going to sleep. Well, go to sleep. The Demon Lord replied softly, his voice gentle and magnetic. Yin Xiuxi fell asleep quickly. The Holy Lord turned his face away without leaving a trace. Turn around and walk towards the southeast. The Demon Lord had no objection to which direction to go. The little girl was on his back, so it was good, although he knew that she would not be cold. He still took out a cloak from the Qianquan ring and covered her. The Holy Lord walked forward expressionlessly. His steps were a little fast. The Demon Lord saw his reaction, curled his lips slightly, caught up and said, What? Are you feeling uncomfortable? The Holy Lord glanced at him and ignored him. The Demon Lord said, Don't forget how old you are. Don't think that an old cow can eat young grass. The Holy Lord frowned and glared at him. He didn't expect that Yin Xiuxi was on his back. The Holy Lord was afraid that he had already fought with him. If you keep talking nonsense, I will kill you. Can you kill it? The Demon Lord said arrogantly. The Holy Lord said coldly, This is not the demon realm. Even if you can use spiritual power to practice, you are still more accustomed to the magic skills. Who do you think has a better chance of winning? You or me? Asshole. The Demon Lord gritted his teeth and snorted, I won't bother with you. After that, he quickly passed the Holy Lord with Yin Xiuxi on his back and flew forward. The Holy Lord looked at the backs of the two flying away, closed his eyes slightly, and took a deep breath. The two flew 100 miles southeast on their swords. But they didn't see any people or even insects. What the hell is this place? The Demon Lord asked strangely. It was getting dark, and the two sat down by a stream. The Demon Lord's palace was blown up by Yin Xiuxi, so even if he wanted to find a place to sleep, it wouldn't be possible. But there was a big rock here, so he didn't mind it too much. He sat on the rock, holding Yin Xiuxi in his arms, and said to the Saint Lord, who was staring at the bright moon in the sky, Hey, make a fire. Why do we need to make a fire? The Saint Lord asked. There are only two uses for making fire. One is to keep warm, and the other is to drive away wild animals and mosquitoes. But they don't use these at all, because they are not afraid of the cold. And they also hope to encounter wild animals and mosquitoes. You have been the Holy Lord for a long time. And you have forgotten how to be a human being. Right? The Lord Demon has not forgotten that he is originally a blood demon. Except for not liking to eat. Everything else is no different from normal human life. He glanced at Yin Shiozi in his arms and said, when she wakes up and sees that it is so dark around her, she will miss home. The Holy Lord was stunned. Indeed, with Yin Shiozi's courage, it is unlikely that she is afraid of the dark. But if she misses her family, I'm afraid it's really possible. The Holy Lord found dry firewood and used spiritual power to make a fire. The firelight shone on the faces of the three people, covering them with a layer of orange-yellow light. Yin Shiozi slept soundly, and the whole person was nestled in the arms of the Lord Demon. I don't know if he had a good dream. And his little mouth was slurping. The Demon Lord looked down at her. His eyes were gentle. The Holy Lord tightened his fingers, stood up and said, I'll go over there and take a look. He walked down the stream. The fire was left behind him, but without looking back. He could sense the movements of the two with his spiritual sense. Xiao Zhao hugged her tightly. His fists clenched little by little. If you like it, just go and grab it. Why hesitate so much? A playful voice sounded, and the Holy Lord's eyes turned cold. And he immediately became alert. Oh, it's useless. That voice came again. The Holy Lord came to the stream, looking at the water surface that had suddenly stopped at some point, and saw a black figure emerging from it. Who are you? He asked coldly. The black shadow on the water surface smiled faintly. It doesn't matter who I am. What matters is that I can help you. The Holy Lord said in a voice as cold as a pond, I don't need anyone's help. The black shadow smiled so hard that ripples appeared on the water surface. You care about that girl in your heart, don't you? You used most of your cultivation to plant double restrictions on her, which made you unable to beat a 17-year-old young demon lord. Others don't know. But how can I not know? You go to the immortal sect to visit that girl on the 15th of every month. On the 15th. It is the day when Yin Jiuchao's Changsheng Ju backfires. He can't detect your existence. After so many years. The girl you protected has grown up. But in the end, she became someone else's. Wouldn't you be unwilling? Come. I'll help you. Anyway, that kid can only live for one life. But you are different. As long as you want, you can be together for all your lives. The Holy Lord suddenly transformed into a spiritual sword and stabbed at the black shadow on the lake. The water splashed, but the shadows mysteriously dispersed, leaving only a string of mysterious laughter floating in the ears of the Holy Lord. The Holy Lord returned to the place where he rested. Yin Shiozi had woken up and was sitting on a stone eating the rabbit meat that the Demon Lord had roasted for her. The Demon Lord's Qingquan ring stored a lot of spiritual pets, which were originally intended to be given to Yin Shiozi to play with. But now they were eaten by Yin Shiozi. Although it was not quite the same as imagined, it was still given to Yin Shiozi. Is it delicious? Asked the Lord Demon. Yes. Yin Shiozi nodded with her cheeks puffed up. She was too busy to speak. This rabbit was particularly fat and full of fat. The Lord Demon took another magic fruit and inserted a thin reed tube to feed her. Yin Shiozi took a big sip from his hand, and the milky fruit juice went down her stomach, instantly diluting the greasiness of the roasted rabbit meat. Is Brother Xiao Zhao okay? Asked the Lord Demon. Yes. Yin Shiozi nodded and took another bite of the fat and juicy rabbit meat. From now on, follow Brother Xiao Zhao every day. Okay. Yes. Yin Shiozi felt that she seemed to have agreed to something extraordinary. But the rabbit meat was too delicious, and the fruit juice was too delicious. So she didn't have time to think about it. Chapter 812, Extra. The way the Lord Demon took care of Yin Shiozi wholeheartedly, and the way Yin Shiozi accepted his care without any defense. Both reminded people of two words, suitable. Yes. The two of them were so suitable together. Yin Shiozi ate deliciously, like a fat squirrel, with sparkling eyes. But the Lord Demon's eyes were focused and gentle. The Holy Lord's eyes moved. The union of demon cultivators and righteous cultivators was not blessed by the heaven. But Yin Shiozi was not a righteous cultivator strictly speaking. And she was not a holy lord. But she was definitely a unique existence in the world. In all these years, Zhou Jin's life was just a period of less than 12 years of cultivation, which was almost insignificant compared to his lifespan. So, that was an emotion that should not have existed. It was his attachment to the mortal world. It was a failure in cultivation. But as proud as the Holy Lord, he would never allow himself to fail. He is the Holy Lord, not Zhou Jin. When the Holy Lord appeared in front of Yin Xiuxi and the Demon Lord again, his expression had returned to its usual coldness. Yin Xiuxi handed him the remaining rabbit leg. Holy Lord, do you want to eat it? No, he said expressionlessly. Oh. Yin Xiuxi turned to look at the Demon Lord again. Brother Xiao Zhao, do you still want to eat it? You eat it. The Demon Lord glanced at the Holy Lord without leaving a trace, and said to Yin Xiuxi lovingly. Yin Xiuxi obediently ate the remaining rabbit. She was not full. Of course, the Demon Lord knew that she was not full. Now that her strength has awakened, the spiritual power in her body is running rapidly, and the consumption is huge. The spiritual pets in the lower world can no longer meet her needs. She must find food as soon as possible. Otherwise she will really starve. Let's go, the Demon Lord said. Yin Xiuxi didn't know that the two were looking for food for him, but he didn't object to traveling late at night. The three continued to move forward to the southeast. After walking another 100 miles, they really made a discovery this time. An inn. Although it was a bit shabby, and didn't look like the buildings in the previous level, it was already very good compared to the deserted place. Not all the people in the previous level were powerful ascenders. Some of them ascended here, had beloved Taoist partners, had children with them, and then had descendants. Among these descendants, some were born with qualifications, while others were no different from ordinary people. Even those with qualifications need to practice very hard to reach a satisfactory state. Of course, because of the rich spiritual energy, the practice speed of the previous level is generally faster than that of the next level. The waiter of this inn is a practitioner of Taishu Realm. Taishu Realm is a star-studded existence in the Holy Land. But here it can only be a waiter. The inn is open all the time. But it was late at night, and the inn was quiet when the three of them came to the door. The waiter was in a daze. Hearing the footsteps, he turned his head and saw that they were two newly ascended practitioners. He was not very enthusiastic and said indifferently, "There is no food, so you can only stay in the hotel. 1 spirit stone per room." The Demon Lord casually threw him 4 spirit stones, and gave him 1 more. The waiter looked at the sparkling spirit stones on the table, and his eyes widened instantly. Spirit stones are actually divided into grades, ranging from 7th grade to 1st grade. 7th grade has the most impurities, and 1st grade is the purest. Most of the goods on the market are made of 6th to 4th grade spirit stones, and 1st grade spirit stones are really rare. The waiter's attitude changed instantly. He put the 3 spirit stones into the drawer, put the extra 1 into his pocket, and looked at the 3 people with a smile. Only then did he realize that the looks of the 3 people were too extraordinary. In this place where only strength is considered, not appearance, no one will care about how a person looks. If they still care, it can only mean that the other person is really good looking to a certain level. Have you seen enough? The Demon Lord asked dangerously. Xiao Er came back to his senses in an instant. Normally, the natives would not take the newly ascended people seriously. However, since the other party could take out 4 first-grade spirit stones at once, it meant that he had a rich background and might be a disciple of a large sect. For example, after the founder of the Long Sword sect ascended, he created a new Long Sword sect. In the future, if there are more ascenders in this sect, they can directly enter the previous Long Sword sect. I wonder which sect or faction these 3 are from. Is it the Wanjin sect or the Baiwa Palace? In terms of background and strength, the Wanjin sect is the first. But in terms of appearance, who is more beautiful than the Baiwa Palace? If the people of these 2 palaces. Xiao Er's eyes rolled around and he asked with a smile, "You are also going to the secret realm to search for treasures, right?" To be honest, I have a way here. If the 3 of you need a guide, I can introduce you to it. What treasure? Yin Xiuxi was curious and couldn't help but become interested. It's the Ganoderma lucidum. Aren't you 3 here waiting for it? What's there to wait for? There's a lot of it in my back mountain. When Xiao Er heard the tone, he knew they were not here to look for treasures. However, for the sake of the first-grade spiritual stone, he might as well explain it to the 3 people. This is not an ordinary Ganoderma lucidum. It's a treasure from the ancient secret realm. There are many secret realms in the Holy Land, but those that are related to the ancient times are rare. Except for the opportunity of the 3 little eggs, no one else has encountered any ancient secret realm. Of course, The treasures in the ancient secret realm are not ordinary treasures. However, what the two of them care about is not the Ganoderma lucidum itself, but such a precious treasure, which is generally guarded by a spirit beast. Ancient treasures should also be guarded by ancient spirit beasts. The two of them looked at Yin Shusi at the same time and made a decision in their hearts. "Where is the secret realm?" asked the Holy Lord. The waiter rubbed his thumb and index and middle fingers together. The Holy Lord was confused. The Demon Lord understood immediately and gave him another first-grade spirit stone. The waiter smiled until his eyes narrowed into slits. He put away the spirit stone and said, "It's not far from our inn. Go east, and it's only 20 miles away. The treasure hasn't moved yet. The three guests don't need to worry. Just stay in the inn first. Our people are already guarding the secret realm. Once there are signs of the treasure appearing in the world, they will immediately send a message to the inn." Yin Shusi didn't know there were ancient beasts to eat. She had no interest in herbs, and yawned with her head drooped. Seeing that she was sleepy, the Demon Lord asked the waiter, "Where is the room?" The waiter took the two to the second floor. The two rooms were connected, and the other one was slightly separated by a few rooms. "You live over there," the Demon Lord said to the Holy Lord without hesitation. The Holy Lord said nothing, and went there expressionlessly. Yin Shusi looked at the little couple strangely and asked weakly, "Did you quarrel?" The Demon Lord. Although Yin Shusi was acting like a big shot in the Holy Land, she still missed home when she was really outside. She lay on the bed and couldn't sleep. The Demon Lord flashed in and sat down beside her bed. "Can't sleep?" Yin Shusi nodded, "Yes. I miss my parents, and my elder brother Debao, my elder brother Erbao, and my younger brother Xiaobao." The Demon Lord looked at her lovingly. "Do you want to listen to music?" Yin Shusi thought for a moment. Yes. Yin Shusi thought he would take out the golden flute and play it. But he took out a xiao instead. He held the xiao with his slender jade-like fingertips and brought it to his lips. The simple and unsophisticated music came out faintly, with a hint of melancholy, like the moon in the distant mountains, telling his heart. Yin Shusi looked at him steadily. For a moment, she felt a hint of loneliness from him. "Brother Xiao Zhao, where are you from? What are your parents like? Do you have any brothers or sisters at home?" "No," he said. He blew the xiao in his hand again. He was an unwanted child, thrown into a pool of blood by his own mother at birth. He was an evil creature, a demon, and an existence that could not be tolerated by the world. Yin Shusi fell asleep to his music. The Demon Lord covered her with a quilt and walked out of the house silently. He did not leave, but stayed outside the door. He put his hand on the railing of the corridor and looked quietly in the direction of the lobby on the first floor. Suddenly, his heart palpitated. He covered his heart with one hand and used the other fingertips to move a spiritual power and tapped into his dantian. Suddenly, a white light came and merged with his spiritual power into his dantian, finally suppressing the palpitation. "What's wrong with your body?" The Holy Lord walked over lightly. "Don't bother me." The Demon Lord did not intend to thank the Holy Lord for his actions just now. The Holy Lord paused beside him, glanced at him, and followed his gaze towards the dark hall. The power of the old Demon Lord is not so easy to absorb. Not to mention that he originally wanted to destroy Yin Shusi. His magic beads are full of violence. If you don't absorb it, your body will reject it. If you absorb it completely, you will lose your mind and go crazy to death. If I were you, I would not choose to ascend, nor would I use my power easily. Humph. The Demon Lord snorted. The Holy Lord said, "It's enough for me to go to the secret realm alone." The Demon Lord said domineeringly, "This is my own woman, and I will raise her myself." Chapter 813 Extra Wedding Eye. Just after dawn the next day, the inn received news that something strange had happened in the sky above the secret realm. Most likely a treasure was about to appear. The Demon Lord and the Saint Lord took Yin Shusi to the secret realm. When they arrived at the secret realm, they realized why there was no one living within hundreds of miles after they ascended. It turned out that they all came here to look for treasure. There were disciples of sects and independent cultivators. The former were strong and accounted for the majority. There were not many independent cultivators who acted alone. Some of them had formed a group before coming, and some formed a group temporarily after coming to the secret realm. These had nothing to do with the three of them. The three of them were unwilling to join any sect, nor did they intend to form a group with any independent cultivators. However, the three of them were so outstanding in appearance that people couldn't help but look at them a few more times wherever they went. Hey! The three of you stop! A boy who looked to be about 17 or 18 years old came over. Judging from his clothes, he looked like a disciple of a sect. He looked at the three of them with a haughty look and said, "My two senior sisters invite you." The three looked at them strangely. Yin Shusi asked, "Who are your senior sisters?" The little disciple said with his nose up, "The second and fourth young ladies of the Wanjian sect." The Wanjian sect was well known in the previous session. Its eldest and fourth young ladies were the apple of the eye of the sect master. And they were almost like princesses in the previous session. Unfortunately, the three of them were new here. And what the I was the Wanjian sect? They had never heard of it. Yin Shusi asked. "Oh, why did they invite us over? What can we do?" The little disciple said arrogantly. "You are new here, right?" The two senior sisters said that you are allowed to join the Wanjian sect. This was not pleasant to hear. They were new here, but they didn't even ask what they meant, and asked them to join the Wanjian sect in a condescending tone, as if they had picked up a huge bargain. "How do you know we are new here?" Yin Shusi is a curious baby. The little disciple raised his eyebrows and said, "You still have the breath of thunder tribulation on you. You may not be able to detect it yourself, but it is still very easy for outsiders to distinguish it. Okay, stop talking nonsense. Follow me." Oh! Yin Shusi was very curious about this Wanjian sect and wanted to go over to take a look. But the little disciple blocked her in front of her. "There is no you. Only the two of them." The Lord Demon and the Lord Saint did not want to go to this Wanjian sect. They reluctantly went there for Yin Shusi's sake. But they didn't want Yin Shusi. How could that be good? No! The two took Yin Shusi and left without looking back. The Wanjian sect's group was not far away, so they naturally saw the scene. The faces of the two senior sisters became very ugly. They were the apple of the eye of the Wanjian sect, used to calling the shots, and had never been humiliated like this before. So the two decided to teach them a lesson. "Senior sister, please calm down. Leave this matter to me." Another Wanjian sect disciple stepped forward. He was a brooding child of the Wanjian sect. His parents were both ascenders of the next generation. And after ascending, he joined the Wanjian sect with his strong strength. Wanjian sect is rich in spiritual energy, with many techniques and numerous magical instruments. If you grow up in such an environment, you can't help but be outstanding. He had just sensed the aura of the three people. The man in black seemed to be a demon cultivator, and the man in white was a regular cultivator. Both of them were below him in realm. As for the girl, he couldn't sense any fluctuations in spiritual energy at all. She must not have ascended from heaven, but was an ordinary person from the previous term. With his current strength, it would not be a problem to fight two people alone. He decisively went to find fault with the three people. "Do you know how many people are trying their best to enter our Wanjian sect? My senior sister took you in as disciples because she thinks highly of you. Otherwise, with the two of you, you wouldn't be able to enter the sect election held every 10 years. He said arrogantly. None of the three people paid any attention to him, just thinking he was talking nonsense. He was furious now. If talking didn't work, then he would take action. He originally planned to deal with them, but no one expected that a disciple of Wanjian sect could not survive 3 moves at the hands of Lord Demon. This was in order not to disgust Yin Shusi. So he used 1 move to lead him away, and 1 move to bury him on the spot after killing him instantly. A total of 3 moves. Everyone was stunned for a moment. After Lord Demon dealt with the man, he wiped his hands with a white towel, and then took Yin Shusi's hand and left the place very protectively. Second sister, they are too much. The 4th lady of Wanjian sect stamped her feet in anger. They originally invited the Holy Lord and Lord Demon to come over because they were attracted by their beauty. There were many handsome men and beautiful women in the last session, but it was the first time they met such a handsome man. She liked the man in white more, but the second sister liked the man in black. I thought that I could win the game by using the identity of Wanjian sect, but unexpectedly, they didn't like it at all. The 2 of them seemed to have only the innocent little girl in their eyes. Miss Four cursed. I don't know where this vixen came from. Let me find her out. And I must be careful of her skin. Miss Two frowned and said, forget it. Don't forget the purpose of our trip. Although men are good, they are not as important as treasures. Moreover, if she gets the treasure and presents it to her father will be happy and may agree to help her get this man. When my father takes action, it is always foolproof. The strange phenomenon of the secret realm is mainly manifested in a rainbow in the sky. Generally speaking, there is a rainbow after rain. But there is no rain in the secret realm. This is most likely caused by the energy fluctuations of the Ganoderma lucidum itself. Everyone rushed towards the direction of the rainbow. Yin Shiusi and the other two followed the crowd. Did those two ladies from the Wanjian sect take a fancy to you just now? Yin Shiusi chatted. No, said the Lord Demon. Yin Shiusi pouted. Don't lie to me. I'm not a child anymore. If I don't like you, why don't you want me? The Demon Lord rubbed Yin Shiusi's head lovingly. They are blind. The sisters of the Wanjian sect, who flew over the heads of several people, almost stumbled and fell when they heard this. Not only did he not accept their kindness, but he also called them blind. He couldn't tell the difference between a real daughter and a vixen. Who was blind? Under the rainbow, monks from all directions gathered. Although the strange phenomenon had appeared, no one could be sure where the treasure would come out of the ground or fly out of the space. At present, all everyone can do is wait, or find a place to wait. Maybe the place where you wait is where the treasure will come out in a while. Do we have to wait here too? Yin Shiusi looked at the two. The two thought about it and nodded in unison. In fact, it's the same everywhere. If there is really an ancient treasure in this secret realm, then these people can't defeat the guardian beast so quickly with their abilities. So whether the treasure is here or somewhere else, they will definitely be able to make it in time. In this case, there is no need to go toss and turn. Just stay where you are. The Lord Demon took out a very gorgeous tent from the Qianquan ring and let Yin Shiusi live in it. Then, he shook out a big lamb leg and a table full of seasonings and roasted them on the spot. Everyone on the side was dumbfounded. Are you sure you are here to steal treasures? I don't know if you think you are here for vacation. The Lord Demon not only roasted the lamb leg, but also roasted a pheasant, sprinkled cumin powder, white sesame seeds, and chives. The fat meat was sizzling, which made everyone greedy. Most of them did not practice fasting, but they would be fine if they did not eat or drink for 10 days or half a month. But being fine is one thing, and being greedy is another. The sound of swallowing saliva soon rang out all around. Yin Shiusi poked her little head out of the tent, and her eyes glowed green when she saw food. She came over. The Lord Demon shook out a small stool from the Qianquan ring for her to sit on, and held a large parasol behind her to prevent the sun from shining on her. Everyone was speechless. Brother, you have moved your home here, right? In fact, in the Lord Demon's opinion, this kind of equipment is only for Yin Shiusi to take a nap during the day, and it would be too unfair for Yin Shiusi to sleep at night. Yin Shiusi sat down next to the Lord Demon. The Lord Demon handed her the roasted lamb leg. She ate it with relish. Her lips were red, and her teeth were white. When she took a bite, her cheeks bulged, and the fat burst out from the corners of her lips. Now everyone felt hungry. The Holy Lord looked at the Lord Demon in confusion. He actually had storage equipment, but it was filled with skills, magic tools and elixirs. Not so many worldly things. In his eyes, these were all useless things for cultivators. But Yin Shiusi liked them very much. You sit down too. Yin Shiusi saw the Holy Lord standing, moved aside, and gave him half of his small stool. The Demon Lord shook out a new stool from the Qianquan ring in a second. Everyone was so greedy by Yin Shiusi that they couldn't take it anymore. If it was just the smell of food, it wouldn't be so uncomfortable. But Yin Shiusi ate too deliciously. I've never seen such a big eater. Even some cultivators' anorexia was cured instantly. However, they were too embarrassed to ask for food from others. If the news got out, what would they become? Beggars or bullies? Bullies are fine. But is it appropriate to take a piece of meat? Do you still want to save face? My fellow Taoist, don't you see that everyone is concentrating on finding treasures? Isn't it appropriate for you to do this? An old monk spoke up. He was the greediest, because he was sitting downwind of Yin Shiusi, and the fragrance was pouring into his nose. Yin Shiusi paused while chewing the meat. You eat? It's okay, the Demon Lord said softly. Oh! Yin Shiusi continued to bury his head and gnaw. The Demon Lord sneered at the old monk and said, What have we done that is inappropriate? Did we stop you from taking treasures? Or did we kill people and set fires? If you want to eat, just say so. Why beat around the bush? The old monk was still a little indignant when he heard the previous part, but the last sentence made his ears perk up. Do you want to give me some? The Demon Lord walked up to him with a roasted pheasant and smiled, of course. No. He was very greedy for the old monk and left without looking back. The old monk was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. "You little brat. You dare to humiliate me. You are going too far. Watch this." The old monk showed his magic weapon, the meteor hammer, and attacked the demon lord. The demon lord didn't even raise his eyelids, but flicked his sleeves and shot out a magic energy with his backhand, which shook the old monk away. Everyone was stunned. The old monk was a casual cultivator, but he was a casual cultivator of amazing realm. Otherwise, he would not have the courage to act alone. His realm was obviously higher than that of the black-clothed young man, but he was beaten away so easily by the other party. This is too. He is a demon. Someone in the crowd shouted loudly. Everyone reacted one after another. The power just now was really strange. But after careful identification, it was demonic energy. Wasn't it? A demon has sneaked in. Everyone. Kill him quickly. Everyone rushed up and surrounded the three people. Yin Shizi put down the half-eaten leg of lamb and looked at the demon lord blankly. "Brother Xiao Zhao, are you a demon?" The demon lord's mighty and domineering body froze when the group of people rushed towards him. He was not afraid at all. The worst thing was to kill them. He had experienced a lot of killings in these years. However, Yin Shizi's words instantly made him feel nervous. He was really careless just now, and people saw through his identity as a demon. Is she going to hate him and become his enemy? The Holy Lord looked at Yin Shizi with complicated eyes. He and the demon lord had no friendship. If these people wanted to kill him, he would not help him. Unless the Holy Lord's eyes were cast on Yin Shizi beside him. Yin Shizi had put the lamb leg back on the grill and stood up calmly. Bang! A stone hit the demon lord's shoulder. He did not dodge, but looked at Yin Shizi nervously. Yin Shizi lowered his eyes. The demon lord still held the pheasant pierced with a stick in his hand. He tightened his grip on the stick. Yin Shizi silently pulled out the dagger from his waist and shot it towards the demon lord. The demon lord closed his eyes and did not dodge at all. However, the imagined pain did not come. The dagger was past his ear and hit a long sword that attacked the demon lord. The long sword was destroyed, and the dagger pierced the attacker's chest. "Ah!" The sneak-attacking monk screamed, and the whole person flew out and fell heavily to the ground. The demon lord suddenly opened his eyes, looked back at the monk, and then looked at Yin Shizi in disbelief. Yin Shizi smiled. "You are a demon, but you are also my brother Xiao Zhao." The Lord of Demons suddenly felt bitter. "You are an enemy of everyone. Good and evil cannot coexist. This is an eternal truth. Otherwise there would not be two ascension channels. This is not the place for demon cultivators to appear." Yin Shizi shrugged and said, "If they are going to deal with me today, will brother Xiao Zhao abandon me? Of course not. For you, I am willing to be an enemy of the world." Yin Shizi smiled sweetly. "Then I will not abandon brother Xiao Zhao." The Lord of Demons stepped forward and gently stroked her cheek. "Okay." The Holy Lord turned his face away indifferently. The two sides officially started the war. "You don't have to get involved," the Demon Lord said to the Saint Lord, who was facing the enemy head-on. "They are all your fellow practitioners." The Saint Lord didn't say anything, but just killed a casual cultivator who attacked Yin Shizi with a sword. Looking at the blood on the ground, the Demon Lord frowned slightly. When did this guy become so violent? Did something happen that he didn't know about? The 9 Dynasties Immortal Lord, who was far away in the Great Zhou, didn't know that his precious daughter was abducted by 2 stinky men. Xiao Taidan was going to get married, and he took Yuan back to the Great Zhou. The two are now in their 30s, but the years have not left many traces on them. On the contrary, with the baptism of time, each of them has a more mature charm. Xiao Taidan is 21 this year. The king canonized Yu Shaoqing as the Duke of Dinghua, and Xiao Taidan is now the son of the Duke of Dinghua. However, his identity is not only the prince of the Duke's mansion, he is also the grandson of the monarch. When he was 10 years old, the monarch canonized him as the little prince of Nanzhao. Also canonized as the little prince was his younger brother, Guden, who was only 1 year younger than Yin Shizi. That's right. The nickname given to Yin Shizi was not used. Later, his mother gave birth to a son, and Xiao Taidan gave him to him without any explanation. Xiao Taidan's target is the 9th princess of Dazhou. He met the 9th princess in Dazhou. At that time, he was still young and lived in the young master's mansion of his elder sister and brother-in-law. The 9th princess was the adopted daughter of the queen. The queen treated the 9th princess badly, so his elder sister took her to live in the mansion. He had never seen such a beautiful girl. Like a bright bud blooming in his young heart. He formally proposed to marry the 9th princess at the beginning of the year. The 9th princess is the same age as him. According to the two countries, she is already an old girl. The king and the old lady did not agree at first. Not only because the 9th princess was old, but also because she was a widow. And the 9th princess's husband was shot to death by him. Chapter 814 Extra, Wedding 2. Xiao Taidan did this not out of personal grudge. He did not know that the other party was the husband of the 9th princess at that time. He confirmed the other party's identity after killing him. But if he said this, no one would believe it. Especially the 9th princess. Killing her husband, and then turning around to ask for marriage. I am afraid no one would agree. It's a pity. This is a marriage between two countries. The 9th princess was married to the young princess of Nanzhao, and the prince of the duke's mansion by an imperial decree. She had no room to resist. However, she didn't eat or drink on the way, and she relied on the accompanying imperial physician to use elixirs to keep her alive. Otherwise she would have died when she arrived at the duke's mansion. When Xiao Taidan heard that she was so unwilling to marry him, he stopped the carriage halfway. You, retreat, he ordered coldly. Those who sent the bride, and the bride were all his people. How could they not listen to him? He quickly retreated 3 feet away. Xiao Taidan opened the curtain and got into the carriage. He sat on the bench beside him. And the 9th princess, wearing a phoenix crown and a red robe, sat on the red bench facing the curtain. The 9th princess was wearing a veil, so Xiao Taidan couldn't see her expression. But looking at her tense body and her hands holding the handkerchief tightly, it was not difficult to know that she was afraid. Thinking of this, Xiao Taidan was angry again. What did he do? This woman was actually afraid of him. Didn't he just shoot her man to death? He gave himself to her. What else did she want? The story between Xiao Taidan and the 9th princess was a bit confusing. Xiao Taidan stayed temporarily in the young master's mansion, and the 9th princess also moved in for a short stay. But not long after that, the Saint Clan army captured Yuqing, and Yu Shaoqing took Xiao Taidan back to Nanzhao to ask for reinforcements. The two little guys were in the budding stage, and they were extinguished with a whoosh. After that, Xiao Taidan never returned to the show. It's not that he didn't want to, but that he was too young. Children have no human rights. Whatever the adults told him to do. The old lady loved her precious grandson. She was afraid that he would melt if she held him in her mouth, and that he would fall if she held him in her hands. She couldn't control her eldest grandson Yin Jiuqiao and Helian Sheng, but she couldn't control the younger one? This pressure lasted for 10 years. When Xiao Taidan was finally able to leave Helian Mansion, Dezhou received the shocking bad news that the 9th princess was going to get married. She married the cousin of the crown princess. After Yan Huijing was deposed, the 5th prince, King Cheng, was named the new crown prince, and his wife was the princess of the Xiongnu, who later became the crown princess. When the 5th prince was asked to marry the princess of the Xiongnu, everyone thought that he had no hope of becoming the emperor. Even the emperor himself thought so. After all, the emperor would not be willing to hand over his kingdom to a prince with half Xiongnu blood. The Xiongnu were ambitious. Once they knew that the Xiongnu princess had given birth to an heir, they would overcome all difficulties to support her son to ascend the throne. After ascending the throne, they would infiltrate the Zhou dynasty and slowly take over the Zhou dynasty. This was not impossible, unless it was absolutely necessary. The emperor would never let King Cheng be the crown prince. The emperor even threatened King Cheng that he could only choose between the crown prince and the Xiongnu princess. In the future, the Xiongnu princess could be a concubine, but she could never be the queen, and she could never give birth to a prince. Prince Cheng and the princess of the Xiongnu also had a good relationship in the fight. If this had been said to Prince Cheng a few years earlier, he might have agreed. But now the two have already developed feelings for each other, and Prince Cheng was not happy to abandon his wife to fight for the position of crown prince. Prince Cheng is a grateful person. You can see this from his relationship with Yuan. The emperor appointed him because of his integrity and kindness. If he really gave up his wife, he would not be the wise ruler in the emperor's mind. Princess Cheng was not a pushover either. When she heard that Prince Cheng would rather give up the position of crown prince for her, she became ruthless and severed relations with the Xiongnu. Now that the Great Zhou has a powerful ally, Nanzhao, it seems that the Xiongnu has nothing to fear. However, they were her family after all. How could they really never get along with each other? After confirming that the Xiongnu were really peaceful, Princess Cheng, or more precisely, the Crown Princess, gradually resumed her contact with her family. Once, the Crown Princess's cousin came to visit her, and fell in love with the ninth princess at first sight. The cousin was handsome and had a good character, so the marriage was settled. But no one expected that the ninth princess had just arrived in the Xiongnu, and the cousin's grandfather even colluded with the Xianbei people to rebel. Xiao Taidan led his army northward to help the Great Zhou suppress the Xiongnu rebels and the Xianbei people. But the Xiongnu prince was also confused. Not only did he not kill his relatives for the sake of justice, but he also helped his grandfather escape. Xiao Taidan shot him to death while chasing the rebels. Strictly speaking, he was also an accomplice, although he was deceived. As a prince, he did not have the ability to distinguish right from wrong, so his death was not unjust. However, later I heard that this young prince treated the ninth princess very well, and did not let her suffer any grievances during the escape. Even his grandfather suggested cutting off the ninth princess's fingers to threaten the Great Zhou to withdraw the troops. But he did not do it. After learning the truth, Xiao Taidan felt a little complicated. It's not that Xiao Taidan thinks he shouldn't die. He committed such a serious crime. If he didn't shoot him to death, the Khan of the Xiongnu would execute him. The problem is that if he died, what should the ninth princess do? How does the ninth princess view this husband? It is said that a husband and wife are bound by love for 100 days. Does the ninth princess already have a place for him in her heart? If he dies, will she be sad? Will she hate herself? Will she think that she shot him on purpose? Xiao Taidan is in pain. If I tell you that I didn't shoot your husband on purpose, do you believe it? Xiao Taidan finally spoke. It would have been better if he didn't mention this. Once he mentioned it, the ninth princess's whole body trembled slightly. Xiao Taidan's turbid air was blocked in his chest, unable to go up or down. What's wrong? So I can't talk anymore, right? Is he so scared when he opens his mouth? Is he a devil? I said I didn't mean it, Xiao Taidan said with a slightly stronger tone. Pa! A teardrop fell on the back of the fair hand of the ninth princess. Xiao Taidan panicked for a moment. What happened? Why did you start crying? I really didn't know he was your husband. I was ordered to kill the enemy at that time. He was an accomplice and refused to surrender. I had no choice. If I didn't kill them, the soldiers of the Great Zhou would be killed. Do you understand what I said? Even on the battlefield, a little hesitation would cause unnecessary casualties. I can't let the soldiers die in vain. Xiao Taidan didn't know if she understood what he said. He just looked at the increasing number of tears on the back of her hand. His heart was clenched, and his tone couldn't help but weaken. Isn't it okay for me to give myself to you? I promise to treat you better than he does. The ninth princess was still crying. Xiao Taidan wondered why she was not moved at all after he explained so much. A bold idea flashed through his mind, and Xiao Taidan's eyes widened. Yan Pingting, you won't forgive me, right? The ninth princess stopped crying abruptly. Xiao Taidan gasped. Why did he think this woman was guilty? Xiao Taidan's fists clenched so hard that they made a creaking sound. He pushed her against the wall of the car and pulled off her veil. Looking at her tearful face and her confused eyes, he gritted his teeth and said, Yan, Ping, Ting. The ninth princess's body shuddered. He was almost certain of what he had guessed. Damn woman. She really didn't remember him. No wonder she was so scared. Did he think he was a pervert with some kind of quirk? Kill her husband, marry her home, and slowly torture her to death. Is that what she thinks? But he was so angry. You have been faithful to your husband for 3 years, and I agreed to wait until now to marry you. I have no concubines or concubines. Do you think I really want to marry you home to torture you? Little Taidan was about to explode, but he got back to the point. When did you forgive me? The ninth princess bit her lip and said nothing. Little Taidan punched the wall of the carriage next to her ear and looked at her with his eyes like torches. Woman, you'd better not make me angry. The ninth princess lowered her head guiltily. Little Taidan pinched her chin mercilessly and smiled coldly. Very good. Since you have forgotten, then this prince will help you remember it well. He tore her phoenix crown and bridal robe. Her desperate cry came from the carriage. 2/4 of an hour later, a ninth princess with a bun and a little Taidan in a long gown appeared in a house. The phoenix crown and bridal robe were so hard to take off that his hands were scratched. However, he finally changed her into the same princess dress as she did back then. Little Taidan pointed to a place in the backyard and said, "This is the swing you used to swing on. I moved it from the young master's mansion to Nanshao. Sit on it. Move by yourself." The ninth princess, who didn't want to move at all, said. Chapter 815 Extra, Wedding, Part 3. Princess Nine sat on the swing, looking hopeless. So he told her to move by herself. And she really meant to move by herself. But how could she move? Move? I can't move, she said weakly. She was too thin. And she didn't have the strength to swing the swing by herself. Stupid. Little Taidan thought to himself. Can't you stand up and walk a few steps? Then sit down suddenly, using the force to make the swing fly? He muttered to himself. But he went around behind Princess Nine and stretched out his hand. Hold on tight. Yeah. Princess Nine held the rope of the swing tightly. Little Taidan pushed her gently, pushing her up. She flew high into the sky. The breeze brushed her face. She seemed to feel a familiar breath. And the forgotten memories also rolled in her mind like boiling water drops. I remembered something, she said nervously. Xiao Tian's breathing stagnated. And he quickly stopped the swing and looked at her eagerly. What do you remember? Swing, the swing in the young master's mansion. The ninth princess recalled. Xiao Tian was delighted. The first time they met was in the young master's mansion. Or more precisely, in the palace. However, at that time, neither of them paid attention to each other. So Xiao Tian always believed that the swing frame in the young master's mansion was their first time. Besides the swing frame, what else? Xiao Tian asked with shining eyes. The ninth princess thought carefully. The regent, the princess, and the prince of Yen. Xiao Tian was very excited. What else? And, the ninth princess tried to recall. Ah, and you? Xiao Tian was shocked. 3 little nephews. The ninth princess smiled and said. Xiao Haiden. Are they still so dark now? He didn't know whether the little nephew was still dark now. But his face was dark. After a long time, she remembered other people. But it was obviously she who pushed her on the swing. Seeing his disappointed face, the ninth princess lowered her head in shame. I'm sorry. I still didn't remember you. In fact, she could have lied and said that she remembered such a person. But it was too long ago, so she didn't remember it clearly. And she believed that the prince couldn't find any flaws. But she didn't do so. She is not good at lying. Xiao Tian took a deep breath. It's okay. I'll take you to another place. The ninth princess went there in a daze. There was no way she didn't go. She couldn't beat him. This time, Xiao Tian brought the ninth princess to the mansion of a subordinate, whose wife had just given birth to a baby boy, who was not yet a month old. After greeting the couple, Xiao Tian brought the ninth princess into the house, came to the cradle, pointed at the sleeping baby in the cradle, and said, Not long after you entered the young master's mansion, my elder sister gave birth to a child. Do you still remember it? The ninth princess shook her head at first, then nodded slightly. Is it true or not? Xiao Tian scratched his head anxiously. Princess Nine had some impression of the regent princess giving birth. But it was not from her own memory, but from the palace servants, who told her over and over again after she returned to the palace. So, she knew that she had seen the little girl of the regent king's family. Xiao Tian sighed in disappointment. Don't you remember this? Princess Nine stared at the baby in the swaddling clothes. Suddenly, the baby cried loudly. Princess Nine was startled, and something rushed out of her mind. What's wrong? Did you remember it? Xiao Tian took in her strangeness, and couldn't wait to tell her that when her elder sister gave birth to a child. The whole palace was very happy. Princess Nine wanted to see the baby, but she didn't dare. He took her hand and went there. And he also gave her Xiaoxi. He still remembers her stunned and nervous look when she hugged Xiaoxi. It was so cute. I think I hugged her. Princess Nine looked at her hand and said thoughtfully, That's right. Little Taidan nodded his head. What else? He asked. Who told you to hold her? Princess Nine shook her head. I don't remember. Little Taidan was completely discouraged. Everyone in the young master's mansion remembered everything. But why didn't they remember him? He felt very defeated and sad at the same time. He lowered his handsome little head, looking a little aggrieved. Seeing him like this, the ninth princess suddenly felt a little sorry. She hesitated for a moment, gently pulled his sleeve with 2 slender fingers, and said, I'm sorry. Xiao Tian cheered up again and smiled at her nonchalantly. It's okay. You were still young at that time. Less than 7 years old. It's normal not to remember. But I remember them. But I don't remember you. The ninth princess lowered her head. She was not amnesiac. She was so old. It was normal not to remember things when she was 6 or 7 years old. But somehow, she felt uncomfortable. Perhaps she was used to the indifference of others, and felt that she should be ignored and forgotten. Now that the situation is reversed, she feels that she is too worthless. To put it bluntly, she despises herself, and does not think she is worthy of being remembered. Seeing that the ninth princess was in a low mood again, Xiao Taidian thought that she was frightened by him again, and scratched his head and said, "Oh, I don't mean to blame you. Don't be afraid. Are you hungry? I'll treat you to food and apologize to you." The ninth princess didn't say whether she was hungry or not, but Xiao Taidian still took her there. They went to the century-old shop. Let me tell you, the fuyuanzi here is a family craft. It's delicious. The king took me to eat it once, and then I came every month. Xiao Taidian sat in a quiet corner with the ninth princess. It was past dinner time, and there were not many people. He asked for 2 large bowls of fuyuanzi. The ninth princess took a bite and said, "Isn't this glutinous rice balls?" "Yes. But the taste is more delicate." "Yeah." The ninth princess agreed. The glutinous rice balls in the capital tasted stronger and more chewy, and had a slight grainy texture. She liked them very much. However, the fuyuanzi here was so delicate that it melted in the mouth, and it was too sweet. In fact, she was a little uncomfortable with it. "Is it not tasty?" asked little Taidian. "Too sweet," said the ninth princess. "Don't you girls like sweet food?" asked little Taidian in confusion. The ninth princess shook her head slightly. "Mammy doesn't allow us to eat anything too sweet, saying that it will make us fat." "Then try their crispy pork. It's also very good." Little Taidian asked someone to serve a plate of crispy pork with chopped peppers. The ninth princess didn't move her chopsticks. "You don't like crispy pork?" asked little Taidian. The ninth princess looked at the peppers on the plate, touched her cheeks, and said, "Spicy? It will cause pimples." Once she ate peppers greedily, and got 2 small pimples, and was scolded by the mammy for a long time. The mammy said that the appearance of a royal princess must not be abandoned. Xiao Taidian blinked and looked at her. "Are you afraid of growing that?" The ninth princess lowered her eyes. "It's ugly." Xiao Taidian suddenly smiled. "I don't think you're ugly." After that, he decisively picked up a piece of crispy meat for her. "Eat it." The ninth princess bit her lip, and ate the crispy meat in the bowl under Xiao Taidian's encouraging gaze. Xiao Taidian said, "And fuyuanzi, don't be afraid of getting fat. I just love fat girls." The ninth princess was stunned. Xiao Taidian looked at her current very thin figure, swallowed his saliva, and said, I mean, if you are thin, I like thin people. And if you are fat, I like fat people." The ninth princess ate silently. Xiao Taidian sent someone to buy some excellent snacks and dishes nearby. The owner of this shop is a big shot, and even crispy meat has only recently started to be sold. Among the dishes that Xiao Taidian asked someone to buy, there is a dompa pork, which is fat and lean, soft and delicate, and moderately salty and sweet. The ninth princess can't stop eating. Xiao Taidian didn't eat much. As the saying goes, beauty is a feast for the eyes, and he was satisfied watching her eat. "Why, are you always looking at me? Did I eat too much?" The ninth princess looked up and saw Xiao Taidian's eyes staring at her, and she was a little nervous. Xiao Taidian waved his hands. No, don't get me wrong. The domineering prince's personality was turned into a little puppy in a second after discovering that the ninth princess was so timid. Ahem. Xiao Taidian cleared his throat. "I just want to ask you, do you hate me?" The ninth princess did not answer him directly, but paused and said, "Actually, if you marry me just to compensate me with a husband, it's unnecessary. I don't like him." "Huh?" This made Xiao Taidian excited. What do you mean you don't like him? Why don't you like him?" The ninth princess glanced at him and whispered, "He is as ugly as you." Xiao Taidian. "Should I be happy or sad?" The ninth princess chuckled. "Just kidding you." Xiao Taidian felt that his heart was about to stop because of his ups and downs. The ninth princess put down her chopsticks, smiled bitterly, and looked into Xiao Taidian's eyes boldly. "I don't like him. And I don't like marrying the Xiongnu. He started to flee with me on the first night of our wedding. His grandfather tried to cut off my fingers to threaten the soldiers of the great Zhou. But he didn't do it. You all think I should be grateful to him. But I can't be grateful. If he really wanted me to stay out of it, he shouldn't have taken me with him from the beginning. I tried to act very good, just like I had been in the palace all these years, so that he would not have the heart to attack me. He did not really have the heart to do so. But he just thought it was not irreversible yet. If it really came to that point, he would cut off my fingers without hesitation. Xiao Tian's heart was torn when he heard this. No one knew what she had been through. No one knew her fear. And no one understood her despair. Even afterwards, she had to remain faithful to the bastard who had protected her from her grandfather for 3 years. What kind of mood did she have when she remained faithful to him? Xiao Tian only hated himself for shooting too fast and too accurately. He should not have shot the bastard to death with 1 arrow. He should have cut him into pieces and turned his bones into ashes. The 9th princess said, I am very grateful that you rescued me from the quagmire. So you really don't owe me anything. But I owe you. You don't have to compensate me with yourself. Then compensate me with yourself. Xiao Tian interrupted her. What? The 9th princess was stunned again. Xiao Tian said seriously, didn't you say you owed me? Then what are you going to do to repay me? Xiao Tian snorted, nothing to repay you. Will you marry me? The 9th princess pinched her handkerchief, turned her face away, and said, with your conditions, you can marry a better princess. Xiao Tian held her hand, stared at her side face that was unwilling to turn around, and said word by word, I don't like princesses, but the person I like happens to be a princess. The 9th princess's palms were sweating. Xiao Tian's eyes were firm. You are pretending to be obedient in front of him. And you are also pretending to be timid in front of me. Right? You are not afraid of me at all. You just want to test me. The 9th princess felt as if her cheek was burning by him. I didn't know that you and I were old acquaintances at that time. So do you know now? Little Tian asked, holding her hand tightly. The 9th princess bit her lip and said nothing. I'll take you back. Little Tian stood up. Back, where? The 9th princess turned her head and looked up at him. Little Tian said, the carriage. The wedding procession is about to enter the imperial capital. We can't miss it in time. What? Do you think this prince wants to take you back to the great Zhou? The 9th princess blinked and said nothing. Little Tian took people to the place where the team camped. Go. The 9th princess took back her hand and walked towards the carriage. Xiao Tian stared at her receding figure, hoping that she would look back at him once. But to his disappointment, she just walked to the front of the carriage. He lowered his eyes and kicked the pebbles on the roadside with his feet. Suddenly, the figure of the 9th princess turned back, like a light swallow, holding up her skirt and running towards him. Under his stunned gaze, she quickly kissed him on the cheek. Xiao Tian was completely stunned. The 9th princess ran back with a red face, and after running a few steps, she turned around and looked at him with eyes full of smiles, although I don't remember what happened when I was a child. The moment you appeared in front of me on a tall horse 3 years ago, I knew that my hero is here. Chapter 816 Extra, Ending. Xiao Tian's head was buzzing, and he suspected that he was dreaming. He pinched himself and gasped in pain. It was not a dream. It was real. She said he was her hero. Xiao Tian felt that his feet were stepping on cotton, and his body was light. The 9th princess was amused by his silly look, covered her face with a smile, and ran quickly to the carriage. She covered her head with a veil. Xiao Tian hurried to the car window, lifted the curtain, and stammered, have you wanted to marry me for a long time? The 9th princess lifted the veil and looked at him coquettishly. Idiot! Xiao Tian regretted it. If he had known the truth was like this, why would he let her keep the chastity for that black-hearted man? And she kept it for 3 years. Isn't it good to have a soft and fragrant pregnancy for 3 years? It was wasted like this. Xiao Tian felt that he had wasted so much time, and he really couldn't delay a single day in the rest of his life. The 9th princess also felt so. So she pulled the curtain out of Xiao Tian's hand, and told the coachman and guards not to pay attention to him and continue on the road. The coachman and guards didn't dare to move, and stared at Xiao Tian. Xiao Tian slapped the shaft of the carriage and shouted angrily, Didn't you hear the crown prince's consort tell you not to pay attention to me? Are you all deaf? Why are you still paying attention to me? Everyone left with twitching mouth corners, leaving Xiao Tian alone to laugh foolishly. The wedding was held as scheduled, and the whole Hellion mansion was celebrating. The ninth princess had been married before, and this marriage was not the most suitable for the old lady in any way. However, the old lady also understood that her little grandson had rejected so many famous ladies in these years, and he had such a person in his heart. If he really let him marry someone else, I am afraid he would regret it for the rest of his life. And she also believed that her grandson, such an excellent man, would definitely be able to win the heart of the ninth princess. As long as there is affection, life will be fine. Generally speaking, the elders of the Hellion mansion were quite open-minded. Otherwise, they would not have agreed to this marriage even though they had some doubts in their hearts. Now that the couple had married, they naturally hoped that the couple would be fine. As for the cold shoulder given to the ninth princess, it did not exist. Xiao Taidan and the ninth princess had a happy relationship, and Yuan had also put her worries to rest. After staying in the Hellion mansion for a few days with Yin Qiuqiao, she returned to the Great Zhou and returned to the immortal sect from the entrance of the Imperial Academy. However, unexpectedly and reasonably, Yin Qiuqi slipped out of the house again. This was not the first time, and the two were used to it. They thought they would be able to find him back soon. But when they saw Shenwan's guilty look, they were alarmed. Then the Nine Dynasties' immortal lord attacked the holy sect. When he learned that his precious daughter was abducted by two stinky men and ascended to heaven, he was so angry that he almost razed the holy sect to the ground. At this time, Yin Qiuqi's mood was definitely not much better than his own father. The Ganoderma lucidum appeared in the world. Or to be more precise, it was pulled out by Yin Qiuqi. Everyone thought that the place where the rainbow appeared was a strange phenomenon in the sky, and the treasure was hidden. Who would have expected that the rainbow was just a landscape in the secret realm, and had nothing to do with the appearance of the treasure? Yin Qiuqi couldn't stay in the tent and wandered around. When he wandered to the river, he saw a delicious red fruit on the ground. So he picked it up. Lingji grass, Lingji grass. Shouldn't it be a grass? Who would have expected it to be a fruit? This is naturally the disguise of Lingji grass. It thinks that no one can recognize it if it messes itself up like this. In fact, with so many monks coming and going, no one would really set their sights on a wild fruit on the roadside. It escaped one disaster after another, but finally suffered from Yin Qiuqi's poisonous hands. Yin Qiuqi didn't give it a chance to change back to its original form, and swallowed it in one bite. Lingji grass is simply desperate. This wave of operations came too fast, so that even the divine beast guarding it couldn't react. When the divine beast reacted, Yin Qiuqi became very desperate. That was not a guardian divine beast at all, but an ancient dragon soul. This is not something that the next demon dragon can compare to. Most of the next dragons are flood dragons, which are still a long way from being a real dragon, not to mention an ancient blue dragon. Therefore, even if it only has a remnant soul, it is enough for everyone to drink a pot. The ancient dragon soul guarded the Ganoderma lucidum, because the Ganoderma lucidum has the effect of warming the remnant soul. Seeing that the Ganoderma lucidum is about to mature, the ancient dragon soul can recover its remnant soul and gradually condense into a dragon body after taking it. However, it was eaten by Yin Qiuqi at the last moment. The ancient dragon soul went berserk in an instant. When the dragon soul was angry, millions of corpses were buried. This is not a joke, and there is absolutely no exaggeration. All the monks who came to search for treasures were suppressed by the pressure of the ancient dragon soul. What Wanjian sect and Baiwa Palace are all weak in front of the ancient dragon soul. Seeing that the situation was not good, the three ran away. How could the ancient dragon soul let them escape? It chased them with the power of thunder. Yin Qiuqi was furious while running. Didn't I just eat one of your fruits? Is it necessary to be like this? Aha! Since Yin Qiuqi ate the Ganoderma lucidum, the ancient dragon soul decided to eat Yin Qiuqi, so that he could indirectly obtain the medicinal properties of the Ganoderma lucidum. The ancient dragon soul bit Yin Qiuqi, and almost bit his butt. Yin Qiuqi was furious. This was not a solution. If they didn't kill this dragon soul, they would not be able to leave. So the Holy Lord and the Demon Lord stopped their escape plan, and used all their strength to kill the dragon together. Both the Holy Lord and the Demon Lord were seriously injured. The Demon Lord used too much power from the magic bead, causing him to be homogenized by the magic bead. He would soon lose his reason and mind, and become a complete demon. However, the price paid by the ancient dragon soul was also heavy. It never expected that the two newly ascended monks were so powerful that they beat its remaining soul to a shadow. Even so, the ancient dragon soul had no intention of retreating. It rushed towards the two people at the risk of its soul being torn apart. Yin Shiosi used her strength to digest the Ganoderma lucidum grass, and could not use it fully. But she could not watch the Holy Lord and Brother Xiaoao being eaten by the Dragon Soul. So she simply went all out and ate the Dragon Soul. Dragon Soul. Holy Lord. Lord Demon Lord. Dragon Soul is not as easy to digest as the original Demon Soul. Fortunately, Yin Shiosi took the ancient Ganoderma lucidum first. This is a panacea for strengthening physical fitness and cultivation. It can greatly improve Yin Shiosi's digestive function, or no, cultivation. Yin Shiosi needs a place where he can slowly digest the Dragon Soul without being disturbed. The Holy Lord and Lord Demon Lord also need to recuperate. The three of them quickly left the secret realm, and found a sparsely populated forest. They set up restrictions around them, and meditated peacefully. Lord Demon Lord concentrated on fighting the power of the magic bead in his body. He did not want his reason to be devoured by the magic bead. He had to remember who he was and Yin Shiosi. This process was not easy. If he made a mistake, he might be devoured. Beads of sweat flowed down his handsome cheeks, and were blown to the ground by the wind, burning smoking black holes. Yin Shiosi sat beside him, immersed in her own world. This was the first time she clearly felt her own power. She could see the sea of stars in her dantian. Each star contained a majestic aura. The Dragon Soul she had eaten entered this sea of stars, and was struggling to death among countless stars. All she needed to do was to refine it with the aura in the sea of stars. The Ganoderma lucidum turned into a cloud above the sea of stars, constantly repairing the damage caused by the Dragon Soul to the sea of stars. Yin Shiosi and the Lord of Demons both entered a state of selflessness. But they didn't know that the Saint Lord opposite them suddenly opened his eyes. His eyes turned blood red. The black shadow that had appeared in the stream was projected on the ground beside him. He slowly stood up and looked at Xiao Xiao and Yin Shiosi opposite him with a knife-like gaze. The shadow bewitched the Lord. Do you want her? Do you want her? Kill that man, and she's yours. With a whoosh, a spiritual sword appeared in the hand of the Holy Lord. He held the sword and walked towards the Lord Demon step by step. The shadow was always by his feet. He is very weak now. If you want to kill him, it's time to kill him now. Kill him quickly. Kill him. Kill him. And no one will compete with you for her. What are you still standing there for? Kill him quickly. The shadow kept bewitching the Lord, and the Lord's world began to spin. The shadow's voice came and went, drilling into his ears and knocking on his heart. Hurry up. Kill him. Use the sword in your hand. The Lord's eyes gradually became blurred, and he came to the Lord Demon and raised the sword in his hand. His hands began to tremble. Don't hesitate. He is the Demon Lord. He has a magic bead in his body that the old Demon Lord has refined with his lifelong cultivation. Even if you don't take action now, he will eventually become a demon. By then, he won't remember who he is or who you are. He will kill you, Yin Shiosi, and everyone else. Hurry up and get rid of this scourge. What are you still hesitating about? Are you afraid that Yin Shiosi will be sad? How could she be sad? You are doing this for her own good. He can't enter reincarnation and can't take care of her for generations. But you can. The Saint Lord's sword stabbed at the Demon Lord. Yin Shiosi suddenly opened her eyes. Brother Zhou Jin. The word Brother Zhou Jin came out of her mouth, and even she was shocked. The Saint Lord's body suddenly stopped. But it was too late to retract the sword. Yin Shiosi turned around and threw herself in front of the Demon Lord to block the sword for him. But the sword did not pierce her body. The moment she rushed over and hugged the Demon Lord. The Demon Lord woke up. He hugged her soft waist, turned around, and laid her flat on the soft grass. But the sword went through his back and chest. Yin Shiosi screamed, Brother Xiao Xiao. Blood splashed on the Saint Lord's face, and the Saint Lord suddenly regained consciousness. He looked at Xiao Xiao, who was lying in Yin Shiosi's arms, and then looked at the sword in his hand. His eyes turned black, and he fell to the ground. Yin Shiosi's blood was boiling, and the Dragon Soul had the opportunity to churn in the sea of stars. Yin Shiosi finally fainted. The newly appointed demon channel was finally ascended by someone. That person was so annoying. He wanted to go back after ascending for a while, and took 3 people with him. It was the first day for him to ascend. How could he bear 4 people passing through his body at the same time? Then, that person left 2 red eggs for him. Hack red eggs. When the Lord Demon woke up, he found himself lying on a strange bed. Yin Shiosi was sleeping beside him. and the ancient dragon soul in Yin Xiaoxi's body had been suppressed by the breath of the Changshengju. And she could slowly digest it by herself when she woke up. Why is there a Changshengju? The Lord Demon was shocked. And then he found that his injuries had healed. He sat up strangely, and saw Lin Zongju and his demon cultivators guarding the bed. Needless to say, the identity of the demon cultivator has been exposed. But the people of the holy sect did not deal with him. Seeing him wake up, the demon cultivator breathed a sigh of relief, stepped forward and said, "Demon Lord, you are finally awake. I was scared to death." Sect Master Lin also took a step forward. He opened his mouth and hesitated to speak, as if there was something he couldn't say. The demon lord released the hand that had been tightly holding Yin Xiaoxi, tucked the corner of the quilt for Yin Xiaoxi, and asked the demon cultivator, "What happened? Why am I back? This place is full of the breath of the holy sect. It should be the holy sect. But if he remembers correctly, he fainted in the upper class. So he not only did not die, but also returned to the Holy Land? This matter is a long story. Thanks to the 9 Dynasties Immortal Lord. The demon cultivator told the 9 Dynasties Immortal Lord everything about bringing the 3 people from the upper class back to the holy sect. The 9 Dynasties Immortal Lord is so angry. Angry that the 2 stinky men kidnapped his precious daughter. And also angry that the demon lord held his daughter's hand so tightly that he couldn't pull it apart. If it wasn't for his wife stopping him, the 9 Dynasties Immortal Lord would have chopped off the demon lord's claws with an axe. The demon lord cleared his throat awkwardly. "Well, I will go to the immortal sect to apologize later. By the way, where is your holy lord? How is his inner demon?" he asked the sect master Lin. In fact, as early as when fighting with the monks in the secret realm, the Lord of Demons had noticed that something was wrong with the Holy Lord. But at that time, he did not think about the inner demon. It was not until the Holy Lord stabbed him with the sword that he felt the power of the inner demon. Who would have thought that the Holy Lord, who was like a god and Buddha, would also breed an inner demon? Once a monk has an inner demon, he is half a foot in the devil's way. Only by killing the inner demon, as soon as possible, can he return to his own righteous path. The inner demon is not so easy to kill. But with the character of the Holy Lord, it should not be a big problem. At least the Lord of Demons thinks so. But Sect Master Lin looked a little heavy. The Lord of Demons asked strangely, "What's wrong? Your Holy Lord is so powerful. Can't he even kill an inner demon?" Sect Master Lin said sadly, "It's not that he can't kill it, but he doesn't want to kill it. The inner demon of the Holy Lord is Shou Jin." When everyone knew about the reincarnation of the Holy Lord, they didn't take this life seriously. The Holy Lord had lived for tens of thousands of years. How could he change for just 11 or 12 years? This was simply insignificant, and could be completely abandoned. I'm afraid the Holy Lord himself thought so. He forcibly suppressed everything that belonged to Shou Jin, thinking that as time passed, he would take Shou Jin less and less seriously, until he became his inner demon. This was the Holy Lord's love tribulation. Killing the inner demon would cut off the love tribulation. But he didn't want to do that. Between the Holy Lord and Shou Jin, he chose the latter. You mean, he became an inner demon? How could he fall into the devil's way? Does he not care about the life and death of the Holy Land? The Lord of Demons was halfway through his words, when he felt a strange and huge force surging out. For the first time in his life, he comprehended the 6 reincarnations. The demons cannot feel reincarnation. They are shielded by reincarnation. Unless he has the power of reincarnation. But how is this possible? He opened his eyes in disbelief. This is... Master Lin nodded with red eyes. It is the power of the Holy Lord. Holy Lord, do you really want to do this? Master Lin remembered kneeling down to beg him. But the Holy Lord said, he is a combination of the holy and the demon. He can withstand the power of the demon soul, and the power of the Holy Lord. Maybe it is destined in the dark. Otherwise, how can he appear so appropriately? He is destined to become the true Lord of Shinza. Unify the Holy Land and the 9 provinces demon realm. And save me from the sea of suffering. Master Lin cried at that time. How can you say you are in the sea of suffering? Could it be that for so many years? But the Holy Lord looked at the distant sky and smiled easily. For so many years, I was only truly happy when I was Shou Jin. He seemed to not know what he was giving up. Abandoning the identity of the Holy Lord and becoming a demon in his heart. He no longer has an afterlife. He used his life to fulfill Xiao Zhao's life. Where is he? Gone, said Lin Zongju. Xiao Zhao threw off the quilt and got out of bed. walked quickly to the bed, and looked at the blue sky. He seemed to see Zhou Jin. Zhou Jin turned around and smiled and said to him, "You can't just take care of her for the rest of your life.